Zai Lai greets senior brother Lin and senior brother Chen. Zai Lai was only 15 or 16 years old, but her words and actions were quite mature for her age. She skillfully clasped her hands in greeting to the two of them. The two men returned the greeting with clasped hands. Zai Lai smiled and continued. In actual combat, the Qingfeng sword technique is far superior to the 9-section fast sword, and its complexity is also far beyond that of the former. Once it is used, the speed of the user and the speed of the sword will be much faster, making their opponent feel as if a gentle breeze is blowing on their face. Before they can even react, they have already lost. So, as long as you master the Qingfeng sword technique, your strength will increase dramatically. Chen Jishan couldn't help but ask. Exactly. In fact, this is true of many martial arts. The strongest are the top-tier martial arts. But top-tier martial arts are not something that ordinary people can master. Once mastered, they will create a huge gap between themselves and ordinary martial arts, Zai Lai explained. Wouldn't using superior martial arts be even more burdensome? Lin Hui asked, frowning. Superior martial arts also come with superior body tempering methods, which are far more effective than others. How could they be a heavier burden? On the contrary, if you master a superior martial art and then go back to use a slightly inferior one to temper your body into an extremely strong physique, you can unleash far greater power than an ordinary martial artist, no matter what martial art you use. Zai Lai, being knowledgeable, explained with a smile. Thank you for clarifying things, Lin Hui said, clasping his hands in a fist salute. So it seems that not everyone can master the Qingfeng sword technique. Yes, to receive the sword technique. One needs not only the trust of one's master, but also extremely high talent. Zai Lai nodded. This is also because their abbot came in person. So, Huang Shan and the others might have caught their attention of their abbot and been accepted as true disciples. Chen Jishan's tone carried a hint of undisguised envy. To be precise, that's how it is. A genius, you know. Zai Lai didn't say much, but there was a hint of something unusual in her tone. Judging from her speech, she clearly comes from a family with a strong academic background. But even so, in a pure contest of talent, background is useless. You either succeed or you fail. At this moment, a new round of swordplay competition among the core disciples had begun on the open ground. A disciple named Wu Cheng had mastered several moves of the Qingfeng sword technique, and whenever he used them at crucial moments, he would easily defeat his opponents. This immediately attracted their attention of those around him, and gradually more attention was drawn to him. Looking at Wu Cheng, who was riding high on the field, Lin Hui fell into deep thought. As Zai Lai said, everything was divided into strong and weak according to the martial arts skills mastered. Then the control of superior martial arts would undoubtedly lock the channels for advancement into the hands of the previous generation. In situations where talent differences aren't that significant, personal connections might be more important. Following Wu Cheng's demonstration of the Qingfeng sword technique, another disciple stepped forward and displayed his mastery of the technique. However, due to his inferior proficiency, he too was defeated and eliminated. In Qingfeng Temple, mastering the Qingfeng sword technique is a huge gap that sets one apart from others. The subsequent competitions fully proved this point. Among the 20 disciples, the top 5 senior brothers and sisters who appeared in the last few matches all mastered the Qingfeng sword technique. Among them, the 3 senior brothers and sisters even mastered the complete Qingfeng sword technique. However, upon closer inspection, Lin Hui noticed that, although they all mastered the same sword technique, the temperament and feeling they gave off when they used it were very different. It is obvious that even if they are the same Qingfeng sword, there are still differences in their levels and realms. In less than an hour, the small competition was almost completely over. The rankings of the top 5 were not much different from before, with the senior brother still in first place and the strongest, and the rest following in order. However, starting from 6th place, the ranking of strength changes. Wu Cheng suddenly surged to 6th place. Behind him were Qu Yiren and Huang Shan, 2 newly emerging geniuses who squeezed out the previous 7th and 8th places, becoming the hottest new focus. And the show was completely over and everyone dispersed. The peripheral disciples and students who had been watching were quite excited. Even after they had dispersed, they continued to discuss the skills and achievements of the 20 core disciples. Lin Hui remained calm and returned to his residence to practice the 7-section fast sword, as if the previous competition had no effect on him. Zai Lai pulled Chen Jishan to go out for a barbecue in the middle of the night to get closer to him, but he politely declined. The two of them had to go on their own. It's clear that Zai Lai is somewhat actively trying to get closer to him. Her meeting with Chen Jishan is just a pretext. But Lin Hui had no interest in meaningless social interactions. His greatest interest now was staring at his blood mark every day, calculating how many days of evolution time had passed. Their ability to become stronger simply by lying down is undoubtedly incredibly powerful. The only thing that frustrates Lin Hui is that this ability is a bit too slow. For a few days, Zai Lai would drag Chen Jishan along to invite Lin Hui. After several attempts, they still couldn't get him to come. So the two of them simply hunted some wild game and came to Lin Hui's place to eat together. Lin Hui didn't mind at all. With someone delivering food to his door and even grilling it for him, he was naturally happy to improve his meals. As time went by, the three of them gradually formed a new small circle within the Taoist temple. Under Zai Lai's influence, Chen Jishan seemed to be slowly getting over his painful feelings for Liu Beihua. And the two seemed to have a new kind of strangeness between them. In the blink of an eye, Lin Hui's fourth move had also evolved completely, followed by the fifth move. The approaching mastery of the seven-section quick sword technique filled Lin Hui with a sense of anticipation. He hoped that his perfect, flawless seven-section sword would have a different effect on body tempering and lightness compared to their other disciples. Several days have passed in the blink of an eye. Thump. Lin Hui started practicing his swordplay as soon as it was light, but after only 2 repetitions, he heard a series of urgent knocks on the door. His single room had a small open courtyard outside, which he used for drying clothes and sunbathing. The courtyard had a separate gate. The sound that was being knocked on was coming from the dark brown courtyard gate outside. "Who?" Lin Hui asked aloud. "It's my junior brother Lin." Hui Shen's urgent voice came from outside. "Open the door quickly, something's happened at your house. Something terrible has happened at home." Lin Hui's heart skipped a beat. He quickly put down the wooden sword, rushed to the courtyard gate, and opened it. Hui Shen, standing outside the door, had sweat beading on his forehead and a grave expression. He had clearly rushed over at top speed. Upon seeing Lin Hui, he quickly lowered his voice and spoke. "Your servants have come to deliver a message. They say something has happened to your father. A lot of people have gone there and practically emptied your house. Help me ask for leave," Lin Hui said without saying a word, then rushed out of the courtyard and headed out of the Taoist temple. Although he hasn't undergone body tempering yet, his physical fitness has improved significantly due to long-term training. As soon as he ran out the gate, he saw Sister Luo, who did housework, standing outside with a pale face, being stopped by 2 gatekeeper boys who wouldn't let her in. Lin Hui rushed over in a few steps. "What exactly happened?" he asked in a deep voice. "The master told me to come and call you before he left, and told you not to worry, he'll be back soon," Sister Luo said quickly. "Let's go back first." Lin Hui's expression was solemn as he quickly ran towards home. More than half an hour later, Lin Hui returned to his front door. The gate to the courtyard was wide open, and the doors to the houses inside were also open. Several men were carrying things out of the house. "What are you doing?" Lin Hui asked quickly as he caught his breath and stepped forward. "This company owes us a lot of money, and the owner asked us to come and collect goods to pay off the debt." "What's your name, brother?" The leader walked over, holding a dried brown strip of meat in his hand, chewing it as he did so. "Are you sure you're not mistaken?" Lin Hui strode through the door and into the house, only to find it almost completely emptied. His mother Yao Shan, with red and swollen eyes, slowly walked out, seemingly having heard him. "Mother," Lin Hui quickly stepped forward to help her up. "Hui, your father," Yao Shan rushed forward, grabbing Lin Hui's arm, her voice trembling with tears. "I told him not to take any risks, but he just wouldn't listen. Now don't panic." "How is my dad?" "Where is he?" Lin Hui asked quickly. The benefactor, considering his many years of service and how thorough he has always been, let him off the hook. "He's fine. He just went to another town to check on the rest of his family's businesses," Yao Shan sobbed. Lin Hui finally breathed a sigh of relief. Looking at his house, which was now almost empty, he felt less anxious than before. This confirmed his earlier concerns, and when it actually happened, he felt a huge weight lifted off his shoulders. It's all right. I've started working and earning money now. We can start over at home." "It's okay," he gently comforted his mother. "I'm fine, it's just, you've suffered so much, Hui." Yao Shan looked at her home, which had just started to recover, now empty again. That second devastating blow, almost made her lose all her spirit. At this moment, she could only hold onto her son's arm tightly, trembling all over. and her face suddenly seemed to have aged a lot. Lin Hui watched the group move quietly. The man who had spoken to him earlier came in, and seeing this, he realized that Lin Hui was the owner of the place, and immediately smiled apologetically. It wasn't until the afternoon, when their relocation was complete, that Lin Shunhei, the father, finally arrived. His face was aged, and his clothes looked somewhat disheveled. When he entered the courtyard and saw that his wife and son were there, he didn't say a word and went into the inner room with his head down. Lin Hui didn't say anything. He knew his father was already in enough pain. Losing the family fortune was only one aspect. The real loss was the complete loss of the protection of the benefactor. Now that they've left the Lin family, they can only rely on themselves. The Lin family. Lin Kai summoned the representatives from each branch of the family again for a temporary family meeting. Seeing the somewhat subdued atmosphere, he took the pipe out of his mouth and gently tapped the small table to the side. Bang bang. The crisp sound drew everyone's attention. "You all know about the Shun family's affairs, right?" he said loudly. The group of people were silent for a moment, then nodded one after another. "I understand. None of you who were on good terms with him before are allowed to reach out to him, help him, or lend him a single penny." Lin Kai set the tone sternly. Then, noticing the awkward expression on the eldest son's face, he softened his tone and began to explain. "It's not that I, as his father, am heartless, but his fourth son said long ago that he wanted to sever ties. That's the first reason. Secondly, he's got himself into big trouble this time, angering that important person. This is no small matter. If we step in to help, and it's seen as if we're involved with him, it will be too late to regret it." He sighed again. "Don't blame me for being ruthless, but I'm doing this for the sake of their entire Lin family. In the past few days, ever since Hongjin from the eldest branch of the family successfully inspired us, you've all felt the impact of our family's prestige, momentum, and influence. Whatever we do, people around us give us face. Even some of the town's officials have become much more lenient. So our Lin family is on the rise right now, and we absolutely cannot let our fourth son drag us down. This is a major opportunity that we have been waiting for many years. Once their eldest son's branch has established itself in the inner city, our Lin family may very well become a great clan like the Zhang family or the Mu family in the nearby towns. But father, wouldn't this be to Lin Shunjiang, the father of Lin Hongjin from the first wife, couldn't help but ask. Jiang, I know you and Lao Si are close, but things are different now. He must not be suspected of colluding with what Lao Si is doing, or we'll be in big trouble," Lin Kai earnestly advised. Luckily, father gave the fourth son's spot to Hongyu back then, otherwise the spot would definitely be useless now. That honest kid from the fourth son's family has no talent, and he won't amount to anything even if he joins the Chen family. Unlike Hongyu, who is now in the same circle as the main branch of the Chen family, the second son, Lin Shunchang, grinned, revealing his yellow teeth. Who knows, Hongyu might marry a direct descendant of the Chen family in the future. That would truly be a stroke of great fortune. That's true. Hongyu is already beautiful. If she had a few direct descendants of the Chen family, that would truly bring glory to the family. Daughters are definitely better. If only I had a daughter like that. Suddenly, everyone started praising Hongyu's father's branch of the family. And no one cared about the fourth son's situation anymore. Everyone knows that this trip for the fourth brother is truly going to be difficult for him again. Without the protection of a benefactor, his branch of the family may face a very difficult situation in the future. Perhaps in the future, they will gradually and completely fade from everyone's sight and never be seen again. Lin Hui stayed at home for 3 days, helping his parents move and taking care of all the other matters. He left all his wages behind before returning to Qingfeng Temple alone. As soon as he returned, Hui Shen summoned him to the room of Master Mingde. "Your father and I have been friends for many years. I advised him about this a long time ago, but unfortunately Sai." Mingde, a burly man, sat cross-legged in the room, his beard completely white, and his expression showed a hint of regret. "But don't worry. I can't control other places, but here at Qingfeng Temple, if you do your job well, you'll definitely get your wages in full. Thank you, Master." Lin Hui felt a warmth in his heart and quickly bowed. From this moment on, it was clear that Mingde and his father had a sincere friendship. After all, it is easy to add flowers to brocade, but it is much more difficult to provide charcoal in the snow. "Practice martial arts well, do your job well, go," Mingde said softly, waving his hand and turning around. Lin Hui bowed again before turning around and slowly walking out of the room. Huey Shen was waiting outside. When he came out, she went up to comfort him for a few words, but her words were not as warm as before. She was just being polite and keeping her distance. Lin Huey didn't take it to heart, that's just human nature. By the way, although Master didn't mention it, given the current situation, junior brother. You should return your private room to the temple as soon as possible, otherwise people might gossip. Just as he was about to leave, Huey Shen's sudden remark made Lin Huey pause in his tracks. Yes, I understand. Thank you for reminding me, senior brother, Lin Huey said calmly, turning around and bowing. Huey Shen nodded, her face no longer displaying the gentle smile of before, but rather a calm and distant normal expression. Back at his lodgings, Lin Huey quickly packed his personal belongings and returned to the dormitory style room. Chen Jishin also came over to inquire about the situation. After listening to Lin Huey recount the details, he offered a few words of comfort, then hesitated to speak further. What is it? Lin Huey asked. Just say what you want to say. It's Zai Lai. I originally brought her along, but Chen Jishin's voice trailed off, and he didn't finish his sentence. It's nothing, it's only human nature, Lin Huey said calmly. Chen Jishin sighed and said nothing more. Such is the fickle nature of human relationships. Zai Lai was willing to get close to Lin Huey for the sake of the Lin family, but now she can distance herself due to unforeseen circumstances. The news about Lin Huey's family quickly spread throughout the temple. Many students who had previously treated him kindly have now reverted to their original indifference towards him. He already had few friends and spent his days practicing swordsmanship. Now that this has happened, he has fallen to the margins, and apart from Chen Jishin, no one cares about him anymore. Lin Huey was happy with this, enjoying the peace and quiet, practicing his sword alone and waiting to become stronger. He just wanted peace and quiet, but someone wouldn't let him have any. Not long after, trouble came knocking. Bang! The door to the dormitory was kicked open violently. Chen Chong and his two lackeys appeared outside with arrogant expressions. Under their gazes, the dozen or so people in the dormitory fell silent for a moment. Whereas Chen Jishin, Chen Chong held a black fan in his hand and waved it pretentiously. What do you want with me? Chen Zhai took a deep breath, stood up, and faced the other person. Come out here, Chen Chong pointed at him, then turned and left with his men. Chen Jishin's face turned pale. He knew something was wrong and instinctively looked around, but everyone around him avoided his gaze. Only Lin Huey. He stood up. Let's go, I'll go with you. No need, I can go by myself. Chen Jishin shook his head, his body trembling slightly. Let's go. Lin Huey didn't say much and went out the door first. As soon as he stepped outside, he saw Chen Chong and the other two waiting not far away, and they also turned to look at him. Lin Huey, I gave you face before because you're someone important. Now that you've come out, do you think I'll still give you face? Chen Chong said with a sarcastic laugh. Although my family is in dire straits, I'm still not worried about anything happening here at King Feng Temple with Master Ming here. Lin Huey weighed the practical comparison. If a real fight broke out, although he had trained for a long time, he had not mastered the 7-section fast sword. At most, he would be just an ordinary person who was a little more agile, probably the same as the 3 people opposite him. 2 against 3, they definitely can't win. Therefore, it's best to avoid fighting if possible. A real transformation will begin when he masters the entire 7-section fast sword technique and refines his body with perfect sword skills. Sure enough, upon hearing the name of Master Ming, Chen Chong and the other two's eyes flickered. Don't try to intimidate me with Master Ming. I won't touch you today, it has nothing to do with you. I'm going to find Chen Jishin. Chen Chong laughed twice and raised his voice. What did he do to offend you? Lin Huey asked, frowning. None of your business, Chen Chong cursed. I advise you to mind your own business otherwise. Clearly, the mere title of Master Ming was enough to intimidate him. After all, Lin Huey had already moved out of his private room. Who would believe that Ming would still treat him as well as before? Even if there is still some support, it will definitely not be much. With this thought in mind, Chen Chong felt reassured. Seeing Chen Jishin come out, he immediately waved his hand. 2 men immediately rushed out from behind, pouncing on Chen Jishin. Both were swift and agile, apparently disciples of the temple who had begun practicing body tempering and lightness techniques. With skills like that, one of them alone would be enough to take on both Chen Jishin and Lin Huey, let alone the 2 of them together. The 2 men's skills exceeded Lin Huey's expectations. He knew something was wrong, so he quickly stepped forward and shouted. You dare? Then he drew his sword, ready to fight alongside Chen Jishin to defend himself. Stop! A loud shout suddenly came from the side in the distance. What are you all doing here, on the right side of the field? Taoist Ming leaped down from the second-floor window, approaching as lightly as a willow catkin. With a single movement, he covered 10 steps in one stride, and in a few moments he crossed the backyard practice area and reached the edge of the group. Yingfeng Temple is so small that he can hear even slightly loud noises, but he used to be too lazy to care about many things. But just now, I heard Lin Hui shout that his friend had just got into trouble, and his son was being bullied in that temple. If this got out, how could Ming still have the face to face his friends? So as soon as he heard the noise, he immediately got up and went down to stop it. In front of the large dormitory, Chen Chang's 2 men felt a chill run down their spines and immediately stopped, not daring to move. When Ming stared at them, they felt a cold sweat run through their bodies. Chen Chang himself did not expect that Ming would suddenly step forward to support Lin Hui, and his face immediately turned ugly, and he froze on the spot. Real person, it's a misunderstanding. It's all a misunderstanding. He quickly put his mind to work and forced a smile. He didn't intend to target Lin Hui. It's just that the kid next to him deliberately caused trouble and provoked my Chen family. He even said some insulting things about my family, and I couldn't stand it. You're talking nonsense, Chen Jishin shouted angrily. All right, from now on, I don't want any private fights to happen in Guanli. Chen Chang, remember that? Ming stared at him and said in a deep voice. He had known for a long time who was behind this trouble, but he hadn't wanted to get involved because of the Chen family and Chen Chang's sister. But now that Lin Hui was involved, he had no choice but to step in and issue a warning. All right, we'll listen to the real person. Chen Chang's face was grim. He clasped his hands in a fist salute, turned around, and led his men away. He understood Ming's unspoken message, no trouble inside the Taoist temple, but he couldn't care less about what happened outside. Ming sighed and looked back at Lin Hui. That's fine then. Just be careful in the future. He was a nanny and couldn't possibly keep a close eye on Chen Chang all the time. The fact that he had gone this far was already the greatest favor he could do. Lin Hui's shout just now was for a reason, which is why he warned Chen Chang afterwards. Thank you so much, Master. Lin Hui and the other man quickly bowed, with Chen Jishin's gratitude being particularly strong. If Lin Hui hadn't called Ming today, he probably would have been in grave danger. Although their lives are unlikely to be in danger, being injured, slowing down their progress, and ultimately leaving in disappointment is almost inevitable. Watching Ming leave, Lin Hui recalled Chen Chang's appearance just now and realized that the other party had been forced into such an embarrassing situation by Ming, and this feud had been formed. Chen Chang, who is always arrogant, will definitely find a way to vent his anger. He's all right. Master Ming's intention to protect him is very clear. But Chen Jishin, try not to leave the temple in the future. He gave Chen Jishin this last instruction before turning back to the dormitory. Chen Jishin stood there, his lips trembling, but he couldn't say a word. Their eyes that had been watching the commotion all turned away at this moment. Not far away, Mukayaji, Q Yayan, and Zai Lai were standing together when they happened to pass by and saw what had just happened. Even with Lin Hui's family in such a state, Master Ming is still true to his nature and willing to step forward to help, Q Yayan sighed. Being true to oneself isn't necessarily a good thing. Mukayaji said coldly. People need to learn to assess situations. Master Ming is loyal and has helped his friend avoid a lot of trouble because of his personality. Now he is strong and healthy and relatively stable, so he is naturally fine. But once he gets into trouble, all the hidden dangers accumulated from his previous help will erupt at once, and that will be a real challenge. But wouldn't the people he helped before also lend a helping hand? Q Yayan asked, puzzled. Who says you have to repay someone for helping you? Mukayaji retorted. Zai Lai did a good job in this regard. When a tree falls, the monkeys scatter. If you want to lend a helping hand, you have to bear the risk of being hit and injured by the falling tree. Zai Lai Q Yayan knew that before Zai Lai entered their circle. She was in the same circle as Chen Jishin and Lin Hui. And now, he couldn't help but glance at the other person, only to see Zai Lai's complex expression. Although she was emotionally fluctuating, she showed no intention of stepping forward to help. Let's go. Remember, King Feng Taoist Temple is just a temporary place for us to learn martial arts. Don't get too involved. You're paying to learn martial arts not to contribute to the temple, but to make ourselves stronger, Mukayaji said coldly, leading the way towards the main hall where the abbot was located. Family troubles and the conflict between Chen Jishan and Chen Chong intensified Lin Hui's desire for self-improvement. Ming's protection can only be temporary. Although Chen Jishan is the one causing trouble now, he may face similar situations in the future, if preparations are not made as soon as possible. After Chen Chong's incident, Lin Hui became even more low-key, practicing his swordsmanship diligently every day in silence. His physical fitness gradually improved, and finally, he completed the evolution of the fifth move. He had been practicing for 2 months, plus their initial month of just starting out, so he had been at Qingfeng Taoist Temple for more than half a year now. For the past 6 months, he hasn't dared to relax for a single moment. And now the results are almost here. Inside the training ground, Lin Hui, holding a wooden sword, stood out inconspicuously among the other students practicing swordsmanship. However, if someone were to observe his seemingly casual sword movements closely, they would notice a significant difference between them and those around him. The moves were the same, and everyone had clearly practiced the 7-section fast sword, but Lin Hui's first 5 moves gave people a feeling of strict discipline, as if every stroke was the most standard and perfect answer. It wasn't until the 6th or 7th move that this sense of perfection suddenly plummeted, turning into mere proficiency. While proficiency is good, and months of hard work have given Lin Hui a deep understanding of the last 2 moves, the difference compared to the previous 5 moves is like heaven and earth. The slender wooden sword moved effortlessly in Lin Hui's hand, and although it was just a practice technique, it inexplicably gave off a powerful aura. Unfortunately, no one around him paid any attention to the changes in him. Geniuses like Lin Hui could master the 7-section quick sword technique in a few weeks, but he hadn't fully mastered it even after practicing for almost a year. Based on this alone, no one would care how perfect or beautiful his swordsmanship was. Just as Lin Hui was still practicing the 6th move, genius Huang Shan and Qiu Yiren, among others, had already mastered half of the 9-section fast sword and were already able to unleash its power in actual combat. Amidst the swishing sound, not long after, Lin Hui finished practicing again and pulled the towel around his neck to wipe away the sweat. A faint sound of crying drifted from a corner of the training ground in the distance. It was an old student from the Taoist temple who was leaving. Lin Hui looked into the distance and saw a group of 5 people, all of them strong and robust, carrying bundles in their hands, with tears in their eyes. Some of them were even trembling as they knelt down and kowtowed towards the direction of the main hall. These are all old men who have practiced for 3 years, but still haven't fully mastered the power generation points of the 7-section fast sword, Chen Jishan whispered as he approached. Perhaps many people will end up like them. What move have you practiced? Lin Hui asked. 5th, I've discovered that the earlier moves have an auxiliary effect on the later moves. And I've mastered the points of force application, Chen Jishan replied. That's enough, I'm only 6th, Lin Hui replied calmly. Chen Jishan smiled bitterly. I've thought a lot during this time. First it was Ahua, then Zai Lai. To be honest, I've only just realized that they are actually more mature than I thought. They all just want to climb the social ladder. Ahua is with Chen Chong now. A few days ago, someone from the Taoist temple saw her bringing food to Chen Chong. She's no longer practicing martial arts here. It's good that you understand. Lin Hui nodded. In this world, if you want to live well, you have to work hard to climb up the social ladder. If he didn't have the bloodstain, he might have also resorted to any means to climb the ranks. That's why he didn't dislike Zai Lai back then, because it was only human nature. Hui, Chen Jishan said again, I plan to leave once I've mastered the 7-section fast sword. Lin Hui was stunned. He watched as the old man who had been kowtowing in the distance stood up, turned around, changed into a guard's uniform, and followed the person who came to fetch him away. He didn't speak for a moment. No matter how well I train, I'll only ever be someone's bodyguard or thug. My family can no longer afford to support my continued training, Chen Jishan said. Only after I've mastered the 7-section fast sword will I be considered a formal disciple of Qingfeng Temple. With that status, I can take up a position in the town government or with some wealthy families. After all, a martial artist who can temper their body is much stronger than an ordinary person even if they only learn a few simple moves. The income should be quite good. This is also why many disciples come here. The temple has partnerships with many wealthy families. We have connections with the Mu family and the Zhang family, he continued. Are you willing to accept this? Lin Hui asked. I trained like crazy. But so what? Chen Jishin chuckled bitterly. Do you know what it feels like to train until you vomit blood? If it weren't for the healing medicine you provided back then, I probably wouldn't have survived several times. I might have died in some training corner long ago. Lin Hui fell silent. As he listened to Chen Jishin recount the hardships he had endured while practicing martial arts, rambling on and on, he felt a mix of emotions. He only needs another 6 or 7 moves to fully master the perfect version of the 7-section quick sword. Calculating the time, that's about 4 months. To others, this pace is utterly mediocre. At best, he'll end up as a high-ranking bodyguard. But only Lin Hui himself knew. He was different. By the time he came to his senses, Chen Jishin had already left. Some people left the training ground one after another. It was almost noon, time to go to the canteen for lunch. Suddenly, a commotion came from afar. Then Huey sheathed his sword and followed, seeing a large group of students parting to make way for a tall young man who was slowly walking into the cafeteria behind the abbot with curious eyes. The boy had an unfamiliar face, handsome features, and skin that was deathly pale. What's most surprising is his eyes. Those weren't normal human round pupils, but rather amber-colored, striped, vertical pupils resembling those of a reptile. From a distance, it appears rather cold and ruthless. Why do those people's eyes have that kind of pattern? I've never seen anyone's eyes look like that before. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Keep your voice down, that's a powerful Python clan member who's come to visit their abbot. Pythons. Aren't they human? They are said to be a non-human race that can transform into giant pythons, and one of the few alien races that have traded with us. Lin Hui also watched the boy with curiosity. Judging from the way the boy and the abbot were interacting, the two were obviously old acquaintances. The boy seemed to be young in appearance, but his age was definitely not just a teenager. The Python clan. Are they here to investigate a clansman who went missing before? Not far away, senior brother Chen Sui and Taoist Mingchen stood together and asked in a low voice. It should be. The previous case of the ghost breaking into the gate injured many innocent people. It won't be easy for the inner city to suppress it like this. It's not just the Python clan that came, there are also many people from other districts. Mingchen nodded in affirmation. But this has nothing to do with us. Just focus on practicing your sword. If you can master the Qingfeng sword to the 3rd level soon, then my Qingfeng temple will have a worthy successor. I will do my best, Chen Sui said, looking troubled and bowing his head slightly. After the abbot and the Python tribesmen took their seats and began to eat, the others also took their seats. After their initial excitement, everyone realized that the Python tribesmen ate the same food and spoke the same language as them. Apart from their slightly different eyes, they were completely the same. The novelty quickly wore off, and the canteen returned to its usual lively atmosphere of scrambling for food. Then Huey looked away, found a corner to sit down, and waited for the food to be served. The Python clan boy came and went quickly, and soon the Taoist temple returned to its former tranquility. Time flies, and the 6th move is about to be fully evolved. Lin Huey's anticipation gradually faded into tranquility during the long wait. Early in the morning, he would get up on time, fetch water, wash up, and check if the jade talisman was intact. If it was not intact, he would have to go to the Taoist priest in charge of logistics at the temple to get a new one to replace it. After washing up and having breakfast, he was about to begin his daily practice when he suddenly received a message from his disciple saying that someone had come to his house. Lin Hui was puzzled. His parents had never visited the Taoist temple since the incident, and now they had come without any prior notice. He was afraid that something had happened. But seeing that the young Taoist boy's expression and tone were not unusual, he felt a little relieved. He followed the young Taoist priest toward the main gate. Before long, he saw his father Lin Shun waiting outside. Aside from him, there was a hunchbacked old man with gray hair standing to the side, holding the hand of a girl in a white dress with a cold demeanor. The 3 of them stood together, and upon hearing footsteps, they all looked in this direction. This is your son. Regardless of his appearance, he has a very steady demeanor. He's currently working as the deputy accountant at Qingfeng Temple, which is quite stable. The hunchbacked old man looked Lin Hui up and down with a satisfied expression. That's right. If our 2 families agree, we will prepare 100,000 coins to help them get married separately, Lin Shun said with a smile. That's impressive. I didn't expect you to have so much wealth after all this trouble. Amazing. The hunchbacked old man looked at Lin Shun in surprise. Alas, this matter is a long story. Lin Shun shook his head and sighed, about to explain in detail. Suddenly, the aloof girl who had been standing quietly looked Lin Huey over and then turned and left without saying a word. Huener, the hunchbacked old man, exclaimed, "What happened? It's nothing, I just don't feel well. I don't want to visit King Feng Temple anymore, father. Let's go back." The girl in the white dress stopped and said calmly. She knew that her father and Lin Shun were good friends and had a close relationship. How that Uncle Lin's family had suffered a great disaster. Those who had previously tried to set them up were now avoiding them like the plague. Only her own father kept his promise and went to Lin Shun's house to arrange their engagement. The father demonstrated the beauty of keeping his word, but what about himself? Does one have to sacrifice their entire marriage to fulfill their father's promise? The more the girl thought about it, the more distressed she became. Huener, the hunchbacked old man, realized that his daughter hadn't taken a liking to Lin Huey, so he immediately stepped forward and pulled her aside to talk things over. No matter how he tried to persuade her, the girl just shook her head, which angered the old man so much that he raised his hand to hit her. This action was quickly stopped by Lin Shun, who was watching from the side. "It doesn't have to be this bad, Brother Guan," Lin Shun sighed. He looked at his son who had walked up to him, and then at the beautiful and aloof daughter of the Guan family. If it were before the incident, with his much stronger connections and wealth, this marriage would have been more than enough. But now, looking at his son's qualifications alone, he really doesn't seem to be a good match for her. Sigh, since Huener doesn't like my Huey, let's call it quits for today. Today, Huey will take you around King Feng Temple. Without insiders, you really can't get in for a visit. Let's skip the visit. Sigh, this whole thing has become a mess. The hunchbacked old man sighed. It's a pity, it's just that our Huener isn't lucky enough to be with your Huey. Not at all. Even if we can't be in-laws, it's still good for the two of us to get along well and be friends. Lin Shun forced a smile. Lin Huey, who had just approached, immediately understood what had just happened. He realized that the girl in the white dress hadn't taken a liking to him, which was understandable. He'd got quite muscular lately, but his facial features remained unchanged, utterly unremarkable. Before, his family background had given him an advantage, but now that was gone, and his job was just a regular accounting assistant. It's normal that people don't think much of him. After all, that's not how he seems on the surface. What left him speechless was that his father had started arranging his marriage so quickly. It seemed he had a plan to rely on his grandson if his son wasn't up to par, hoping his grandson might be talented and destined for greatness. Since the meeting didn't go through, the hunchbacked old man felt embarrassed to stay any longer, so he took his daughter Huener and said goodbye, and got into a car and left to avoid any awkwardness if he stayed any longer. That girl's name is Guan Kihuan. She's the third daughter of my old brother Guan Jing. Both our families were interested, but unfortunately. The girl wasn't interested, said Lin Shun, the father, helplessly. You should just forget about it. Just live a normal life. I have my own plans for marriage, Lin Huey said speechlessly. Plans? Could it be that you found someone you like at King Feng Temple? Upon hearing this, the old man's spirits immediately lifted. No, but I have my own plans. Lin Huey believed that with the blood mark, he had no time or energy to spend on romantic relationships. What he needs to do now is to ensure his sense of security first, and then, once he has reached a certain level of strength, he can take a good look at what this world is all about. Son, how about we try somewhere else? Lin Shun hesitated for a moment before asking. What's different? Going to a new place means you'll have to spend time getting used to everything again. Starting all over again, Dad, you shouldn't overthink it, Lin Huey advised. At the entrance of the Taoist temple, he chatted with his father for a while and learned that the outer city had returned to peace and that many people who had taken refuge in the inner city had returned one after another. Recently, however, there have been more people coming from other districts. Beyond the city of Taiyu, in the distance, shrouded in mist, lie similar vast urban areas. These 19 districts together form the Taisu Federation, which is jointly ruled by the inner court and the outer court. The inner court is a small, separate, fog-free area in the center. Due to the fog and difficult travel conditions, the inner court was actually unable to govern the 19 districts of the outer prefecture. This also means that the Taisu Federation is actually a loose territorial alliance, with each district governing everything independently. The government offices in each district were the actual governing bodies, For example, the one in Taiyu District was the Taiyu Prefecture office. The other urban area that Lin Shun mentioned refers to Qingdao, the nearest major urban area. Qingdao City is said to be in a state of chaos year-round, where the strong prey on the weak and slavery is rampant. The Qingdao people who occasionally come out are mostly manic, neurotic, and prone to shouting for violence, making them quite fierce. It is said that many of the people who have come have been causing trouble all over the inner city. The sects and gangs that you can rank are nothing more than the 3 sects and 6 gangs, but they have all been challenged by Xing Daoran, resulting in many injuries. Lin Shun is well informed and has been traveling around doing business recently, so he knows much more than Lin Hui. What about the martial arts school? Lin Hui asked, frowning. Martial arts schools are second-rate. The 3 sects and 6 gangs are powerful forces outside the 3 greats that pass on internal martial arts. Although they are far inferior to the 3 greats, they are like the difference between an adult and a child compared to martial arts schools. They cannot be compared. Lin Shun looked around, pulled his son to a corner, and whispered. The reason I'm saying all this is that, although Qingfeng Temple is only a middle-ranking martial arts school that teaches external skills, and it's unlikely that anyone will target it, you still need to be careful. Try to step back when things happen, and always remember that you have me and your mother behind you. If anything happens to you, your wife and I will really be in trouble. Lin Shun's tone and expression at this moment were clearly less spirited than before the incident. But Lin Hui nodded seriously. I understand, father, good to know. I'm going back now. Things are a bit better off at home recently. I've found a new way to make money and started a small business. Don't worry about me. Don't send any more of your wages home. We have our own money. Without waiting for a reply, Lin Shun took some loose silver from his waist pouch, put it in a leather money bag, and stuffed it into Lin Hui's hand. Don't worry, no matter how hard things get for your dad. Supporting the family is absolutely no problem. Lin Hui refused to accept the money. After some back and forth between the father and son, he walked his father for a while before returning to Qingfeng Temple alone. Actually, the fact that my father walked all the way here alone, instead of hiring an ox cart or horse-drawn carriage, tells us the true state of our family. However, he didn't expose his father's fragile pride. He simply returned the money he had given him. Back at the Taoist temple, Lin Hui calmed down and continued to practice his swordsmanship diligently. His swordsmanship became increasingly light, swift, and precise. Despite not having evolved from the blood seal, his understanding of the 6th and 7th moves deepened the longer he practiced them. By comparing the perfect versions of the previous 5 moves, Lin Hui gradually began to discover the hidden flaws in the last 2 moves. This discovery wasn't made all at once, but rather one every few days. After trying to modify and fine-tune it, Lin Hui keenly realized that the modified sword moves were more in line with his own style and easier to practice than their original version. Time flies, and more than a month has passed in the blink of an eye. A 6th move unexpectedly ended their evolution prematurely. It seemed to be Lin Hui's own realization that had a time-saving effect. The sky was overcast today, and the sunlight only peeked through the mist. Lin Hui pushed open the door, holding a wooden sword, and looked thoughtfully at the blood-stained words below his line of sight. The evolution process ended 5 days earlier than the normal 2-month time frame. It seems these 5 days are the result of my hard work during this period. He could sense that his physique was now far stronger than when he first arrived. Therefore, he could absorb significantly more energy each day, which made it reasonable that he could conserve the energy needed for evolution. Watching the students coming out of the various dormitories to prepare for sword practice and line up to fetch water, Lin Hui walked to a corner and focused his attention on the last move, the 7th move, Wind Thrust. Should I evolve it into the 7th move, Wind Strike? Required resources 1 wooden sword, 50 days worth of stamina. Time required 50 days. This is the last resort, finally. Lin Hui sighed deeply, staring at the red characters that appeared before him. After pausing for a few seconds, he decisively confirmed the evolution. Yes, a hiss. The bloodstain on his arm quickly changed from a diamond shape to a circle. No longer looking at the bloodstain, Lin Hui picked up his wooden sword and carefully felt the newly evolved 6th move. Having mastered the 7-section quick sword technique to this level, he could achieve perfection at any time, and thus gained a profound understanding of their entire swordplay. At this moment, raise your hand, thrust forward, flick upward, and sweep downward. Each sword move flowed smoothly from his hands, possessing a strange and beautiful quality. The two students practicing swordsmanship nearby glanced at him, and their movements slowed slightly as they focused on watching Lin Huey practice. After repeating this several times, Lin Huey paused to rest, wiped the sweat from his forehead, and picked up the water bag and dry food from the ground to prepare breakfast. Huey Chen Jishan slowly approached. "How much do you know about your second senior brother, Zhao Jiang'an? I've never met him. He's the second-ranked formal disciple. I'm just an ordinary student who's still practicing the 7-section fast sword. I'm not even a formal disciple yet. What qualifications do you think I have to try and get on the good side of senior brother Zhao, who's second-ranked?" "What's wrong?" Lin Huey asked casually. "To be precise, students who haven't fully mastered the training methods are just unqualified individuals who have paid money to participate. Only by mastering the 7-section fast sword, and then the 9-section fast sword, can one leap forward and officially become a true disciple of Qingfeng Temple, entering the circle of 20 people. At that time, many gangs and wealthy families in Taiyu will extend olive branches to you. Their future income and lifestyle will be good. Chen Jishan's goal is to become a formal disciple. His aptitude isn't the worst, and coupled with his extremely diligent sword practice, he's almost mastered it in just over a year, which is quite good. He has hope of improving his family's life. My second senior brother is kind and gentle, and his swordsmanship is superb. Yesterday, when their event ended, he said a few words to me, gave me some pointers on my swordsmanship, and even invited me to work for his Zhao family. He also said that if I agreed to go to the Zhao family, he would help mediate the conflict between me and Chen Chong." Chen Jishan said softly, his words revealing a hint of respect for his second senior brother. Then Huey listened silently without saying a word. My second senior brother analyzed my options after leaving Qingfeng Temple. It's basically either joining a gang, working for another wealthy family, or working for a merchant firm. The Zhao family is a well-known clan in the nearby towns. My second senior brother and I are from the same lineage, so if I join, I'll be considered one of his direct descendants. I'll train with the senior brothers and sisters from Qingfeng Temple who joined before, and we'll have mutual support. Huey, what do you think? Do you think I should go? The more Chen Jishan thought about it, the more suitable it seemed. That's good, Lin Huey thought for a moment and replied. Second senior brother is probably using the family's resources to cultivate his own power. You've mastered the 7-section fast sword in just over a year. Although your aptitude isn't the best, with your diligence, you won't be the worst after becoming a formal disciple. It's worth him trying to win you over. The wages are 5,000 coins a month. My whole family can only earn 10,000 a year at most. I saved up for a long time to come here to learn martial arts. The Zhao family's treatment is so good, I always feel uneasy about something. Chen Jishan hesitated again. It's all right, this treatment is normal. After all, you've already started body tempering, so you're no longer an ordinary student. Lin Huey noticed the subtle change in Chen Jishan at this moment. When he raised his hands and feet, his speed was noticeably lighter than usual. This is a typical sign that the first body tempering is complete. Clearly, it was just him who practiced swordsmanship faster and faster. Others, as they progressed, would also accelerate their progress due to increased proficiency and deeper understanding. Chen Jishan was a prime example of this. Hey, you figured it out. Sigh, it was easy, Chen Jishan sighed. Huey, you'll be here soon too, right? Want to come to the Zhao family together, brothers? He looked at Lin Huey with longing in his eyes. I've already signed an accounting contract with Qingfeng Temple, so I'll be here for at least the next 5 years. There's no other way, Lin Huey replied with a smile. He was also pleased that Chen Jishan could use this opportunity to escape Chen Chong's revenge. That's a pity, Chen Jishan sighed. However, Zhao Family Town, where the Zhao family is located, is only half an hour's walk from here. I heard from my senior brother that once you're inside, the work and training won't take up too much time, and you'll get 4 days off every month. I can come back to see you often when I'm not busy. Oh, right. He suddenly remembered something, rummaged in his fanny pack, and quickly pulled out a dark, murky object. Here, take this. You like the fragments left behind by the monsters in the fog zone, right? I picked up some myself when I had nothing else to do. This is the most complete and largest fragment of all that I found. It's yours. Lin Huey was taken aback, reached out and took the black object, examining it carefully in his hand. This is an irregularly shaped object, resembling a lump of coal or some kind of black iron ore. The surface has obvious gray-black fractures, It's unclear from which part of the monster in the fog zone it broke off from. All right, I'll be leaving this afternoon. I've packed everything. I'll write to you when I'm settled in at the Zhao family's place, after handing over the things. Chen Jishan turned around, waved, and quickly left. With his back to Lin Hui, a look of melancholy unconsciously appeared on his face. That thing was actually far more difficult to obtain than he had claimed, but Lin Hui had looked after him for so long and helped him so much. This was the only thing he could do for him in return. Have a safe journey, Lin Hui said sincerely, watching his retreating figure. Within King Feng Temple, 3 years is the maximum time limit for practicing the 7-section fast sword, but most students successfully master it in about 2 years. Chen Jishan, who had been with the company for over a year, was only at a moderate level in terms of speed, but he was loyal, righteous, and had a clean background, making him easy to control. This was probably the main reason why the second senior brother took the initiative to recruit him. Only after Chen Jishan's figure had completely disappeared did Lin Hui turn his gaze back to the black object in his hand. As usual, he focused his attention, opened the blood seal, and intended to check and identify relevant information. Hiss. After a soft sound in my ear, a line of blood-red text quickly appeared below the field of vision. Dead sealed insect eggs. Lin Hui was taken aback. Insect eggs. Sealing. The fragments he had previously collected all appeared to be remnants of some unknown species. Apart from the external descriptions, the information was only a rough indication of whether they were hot, cold, or poisonous. But this thing seems... Not fragments, Lin Hui looked back carefully. Dead sealed insect egg. This insect egg was once used to seal a special creature from the fog zone. After the creature escaped, the egg, deprived of its designated nutrients for a long time, gradually dried up and died. Its internal structure contains a powerful sealing pattern which can evolve into branch 4. So many evolutionary branches? Lin Hui was taken aback. Most other things had no more than 3 evolutionary branches, and this was the first item he had ever seen with 4. Clearly, this thing is no ordinary item. After hesitating for a moment, Lin Hui clicked on the location of the evolution branch. With a whoosh, 4 evolution paths popped up. 1 sealing magic circle, 2 sealing array, 3 evil sealing array, 4 sealing array. The abundance of branches caught Lin Hui off guard for a moment. Just by looking at their names, you can tell these branches are definitely not simple. Those that can be called formations are probably beyond his level to understand in this world. Not simple often means taking even longer. Without hesitation, he clicked on each of the branches one by one. 1 sealing magic array, it can form a combination of special toxins to seal the elusive special magical energy. Required resources, a small amount of magical energy, a set of natural seal patterns. 10 years of physical and mental reserves. Time required 10 years. Lin Hui's heart skipped a beat. 10 years. That's a long time. He'd probably be old enough to run errands by now and still not be fully evolved. What's more, he had absolutely no idea what magic energy was. He turned off this one and moved on to the next. This one had the same time as the one above, except that the sealed object had been replaced by magical energy, which he had never heard of before. The third one is also about what was sealed away, but replaced with so-called evil energy. The time frames are also extremely long, at least around 10 years. Left with no other choice, Lin Hui looked at the last one. The fourth is a pure sealing formation. Sealing array. This array can seal the consciousness of ordinary beings with a special toxin, derived from the natural 3-dimensional toxin of the sealing insect. Required resources 1 month to conserve energy, 1 month to conserve mental energy. Time required 1 month. There were no extra things, just the evolution requirements for January. Lin Hui pondered for a moment. This thing seemed to be the fastest evolving thing he could currently access. He could afford to waste just a month. It would be a good time to test their effects of the blood seal on other things. Anyway, once the body tempering begins, there's no rush to learn new sword techniques. My body also needs to be repeatedly tempered with the 7-section fast sword to reach its limit. However, this thing isn't as easy to get as Chen Jishan said. I've searched outside so many times and haven't encountered it even once. It definitely isn't something that exists around here. Lin Hui realized that Chen Jishan must have gone somewhere else to find this thing. Perhaps it's some dangerous place. After all, he's been to all sorts of ordinary places, but he's never seen anything like it. After collecting the insect eggs, Lin Hui sighed inwardly and quickly returned to the dormitory. I opened the board of my bed, and underneath was a wooden box. I unlocked it, opened the box, and inside was a small pile of various clean fragments. These fragments were all picked up by him while wandering around aimlessly. Picking up one, Lin Huey focused his attention and activated the bloodstain. A known fragment, a fragment that fell from the broken shell of some creature. Evolutionary Branch 1, one synthesis of large fragments. This is the evolutionary answer that most of these fragments provide. It's nothing more than evolving from a fragment into a large fragment. And the evolutionary time is also measured in years. It's an extremely long process. Perhaps continuous evolution and strengthening could achieve a complementary effect, but that's not what I want. Wasting the blood seal's time on this is not worthwhile. I must find a way to increase the blood seal's evolution speed. Lin Huey put the newly acquired insect eggs into the box, closed it again, and locked it. Once the final evolution is complete, I'll begin experimenting. This insect egg was the fastest evolving thing he had ever encountered. And it also seemed to involve extraordinary abilities beyond martial arts. Faced with extraordinary abilities beyond his comprehension, Lin Huey felt a certain amount of anticipation. He put the bed back on. He was somewhat concerned about the privacy of his living space. I need to find a way to live alone. After the body tempering, I'll take their assessment to become a formal disciple, and I should be able to get a single room. It'll be soon. As I stepped out of the dormitory, two young men, both new faces, came in. The places left by those who had left were naturally filled by new students. However, this also brings security risks, and the theft of personal belongings is not uncommon here. Senior Brother Lin, the two greeted Lin Huey one after the other. Lin Huey nodded in response and brushed past the two of them. Chen Jishan left. In the time that followed, Lin Huey began to feel more and more troubled while practicing his sword. Before, he could have focused entirely on practicing his sword, since Chen Jishan would always inform him of anything that needed to be done when the time came. But it's gone now. He was a loner and had no one to help him, so he always preferred to practice quietly in a corner by himself. Huey Shen, who used to be quite polite to him, now completely ignores him. Then Huey had no choice but to find another place to practice his swordsmanship, where he trained diligently while waiting for the final evolution to be completed. Only by completing the body tempering process and becoming a formal disciple of those 20-odd people can he improve his life. He plans to take on a junior brother then to do errands or similar jobs. As for now, he has no value to be relied upon or supported by others. Time passed slowly. A month has passed in the blink of an eye. Chen Jishan went to the Zhao family, and to his surprise, a month later he actually sent a letter back to Lin Huey, along with some local specialties from that town. He had bought them with his first month's wages. It was a peanut and date cake, very sweet and fragrant. Lin Huey tasted one piece himself and gave the rest to his mother. In his letter, Chen Jishan mentioned that the Zhao family treated them very well, providing them with all kinds of benefits. His current task was to occasionally escort merchant caravans, and spend the rest of his time taking turns with the others to instruct the other ordinary servants of the Zhao family. What left Lin Huey speechless was that Chen Jishan mentioned in his letter that he had met a fellow female guard there, and the two had fallen in love and were now living together. Forget Bai Hua, forget Zai Lai, none of them can compare to my hot senior sister. In his letter, Chen Jishan praised his senior sister Zhang Tingfeng as unique and perfectly matching his aesthetic. The letter was writ by someone else, and it didn't have Chen Jishan's signature, only his red handprint. The handprint was even crooked, leaving Lin Huey speechless and amused. He put the letter away and threw himself back into his full-fledged training. Xinyu Town. Lin Shunhei, looking exhausted, quietly crept along the shadows of the wall and silently slipped through a hole into his yard. He looked up at the sky. It was almost evening, but the fog hadn't yet formed. He breathed a sigh of relief. Money isn't so easy to earn, especially for an elderly man like him with a bad record. Even his wife was implicated and almost fired. If it weren't for his many years of work and connections, his wife Yao Shan might have been fired by now. Even so, Yao Shan's employer took their opportunity to deduct most of her income. Lin Shun is still able to make money now, simply because he's involved in shady businesses. He used his old connections to join a black market gang that specialized in selling stolen goods. The income was good, but he was constantly in contact with various dangerous people, making it quite risky. Fortunately, things soon got better. He saved enough money to open his own shop. Opening a small general store and being able to make a living would be a good start. Knock, knock, knock. Suddenly there was a knock on the courtyard gate. Lin Shun was about to enter the inner room when he heard the sound and turned his head to look. Who is it? Mr. Lin Shun, right? We're from the Fun Gang. The location you applied for has been approved. However, you can open the shop, but the rules cannot be broken. A rough male voice came from behind. Lin Shun quickly stepped forward, breathed a sigh of relief, and opened the door. 3 burly men with thick waists and broad shoulders stood outside the door, wearing gray vests and black shorts, each holding a thick wooden stick and sticking it on the ground. Upon seeing the door open, the burly man standing at the head of the group clasped his hands in greeting and said, I am Zhu Dao. Mr. Lin, do you still remember their rules? I remember. After the shop opens, half of the profits will be handed over on time every month. Don't worry, I remember everything, Lin Shun nodded hurriedly. The Fun Gang is the largest gang in Xinyu Town. Before, when he did things for important people, naturally no one dared to come to his door to collect money, but now it's different. That's good. When you open the store, go to the nearest branch of the gang to register. If you encounter any problems in the future, you can report it to our store, Zhu Dao nodded. Oh, and if the returns are too low or even if you lose money, you still have to make up at least 3,000 coins. Remember that? He suddenly remembered something and added. Lin Shun nodded repeatedly in agreement. After dealing with Zhu Dao and the other 2, he closed and locked the door, turned around, and saw his wife standing in front of the inner room door, wearing a coat and looking at him. Yao Shen called out worriedly. It's all right, I'm here. You can go back to sleep. Lin Shun waved his hand and said calmly. Because of his previous connections, Zhu Dao's attitude was relatively mild, and everything was done according to the rules. This was good. He wasn't afraid of having many rules, but rather of having no rules at all. As for the profits, after managing an oil mill for so many years, falsifying accounts was just an easy and trivial matter for him. The key point isn't actually that, but rather the support needed after the store is opened. Connections diminish over time. Things are fine now, but as time goes on, the bonds will weaken. By then, what will he have to rely on to maintain his current lifestyle? With this in mind, Lin Shun's mind raced as he pondered how to break the deadlock. As soon as he entered the door, his wife Yao Shan couldn't help but whisper. The Muyo gang came once today. Why are the Fun Gang here again? The Muyo gang has also sent people. Lin Shun keenly sensed something was wrong. This situation usually only occurs when 2 gangs start fighting for territory, but Xinyu Town has always been the territory of the Fun Gang. We'll stay home these days and not go anywhere. We'll talk about it after the 2 gangs have sorted things out, he instructed. I'm afraid the Fun Gang won't be able to stop them. The Muyo gang is very domineering. They took 5,000 coins from us right away, Yao Shan said worriedly. It's all right. This just shows that the Muyo gang doesn't intend to operate for long. It's just a one-off deal. They'll probably leave soon, Lin Shun reassured him. Even so, he still sighed inwardly. This was the situation when he lost the protection of a benefactor and had no security. In the past, the managers of the Fun Gang would have been very polite to him and drink with him. Unlike now, Lin Shun should be grateful that he was tactful and handled things properly when he was successful. Otherwise, if he had offended too many people, he would definitely have been kicked while he was down now that he has lost power. Our current situation is similar to that of ordinary people, which is already a stroke of good fortune amidst misfortune. December, the weather is getting colder. The area around King Feng Temple was already covered with fallen leaves, and the ground was covered with yellow petals. A cold wind howled. The disciples who went out formed small teams like centipedes, and slowly patrolled around the Taoist temple, driving away wild animals. Then Huey silently gripped his sword, standing in a somewhat empty corner of the training ground, next to the wooden weapon rack, slowly immersing himself in the insights gained from the final move, the 7-section quick sword. Just a moment ago, the final move. The 7-section quick sword finally evolved successfully. Instead, a flood of memories of his understanding of the swift sword rushed into his mind. The wooden sword in his hand became increasingly familiar, as if it were part of his flesh and blood. At this moment, Lin Huey's eyes were cloudy, and his pupils contracted and expanded rapidly as if he were being electrocuted. About half a minute later, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. He picked up his sword again and pondered for a moment. Suddenly, he slashed forward diagonally, executing a 7-section sword strike with practiced ease. Move after move, each of these sword techniques seemed to sprout a certain vitality in his hands at this moment, becoming agile and graceful. At this moment, he was like a brown phantom, enveloped by the shadow of a brown wooden sword. There were 7 moves in total, with more than 50 points of force exertion, all of which were executed flawlessly in his hands, and he completed their entire sequence in just half a minute. Brush. Then Huey finished his stance, stood still, held the sword vertically along the center of his body, and closed his eyes without moving. A cool, refreshing current of air rose rapidly from his feet as he remained still, traveling up his calves, thighs, waist, and abdomen, straight to the top of his head. For a moment, Lin Huey felt as if he were immersed in cool spring water. But he did not feel cold at all. A strange sense of relaxation and comfort welled up inside me. It's done, he opened his eyes, a huge weight finally lifted from his heart. More than a year of hard work has finally paid off. The chilling current that tempered his body was so clear that he almost mistook it for something else. After all, he had previously asked Chen Jishin in the letter that the cold current that appears during body tempering should normally be a very weak trace, and one needs to carefully and calmly feel it to detect it. But that current just now was truly exaggerated. That cold current, which almost completely occupied the blood vessels and muscles of the calf, was not just a trace, it was probably more than 10 times stronger. After sensing his body's condition for a moment, Lin Huey put down his sword again and began a new round of body tempering. The 7-section quick sword can be used for body tempering an unlimited number of times per day. However, it consumes the body's energy reserves. Therefore, a person can temper their body a maximum of 10 times per day. Of course, under normal circumstances, even geniuses like Huang Shan and her group could not achieve this even after 10 body tempering sessions. Because there are over 50 points of leverage, if you make a mistake in even one, you have to start all over again. Moreover, in the later stages of training, it becomes difficult to maintain full concentration, making it even easier to make mistakes. According to what Chen Jishin had inquired about, a strong person who could temper their body 6 or 7 times a day was considered very powerful. Normally 4 or 5 times, badly 1 or 2 times. This is the hierarchy among the formal disciples of Qingfeng Temple. This is a fundamental skill that needs to be practiced every day during body tempering. If you're off by several times each day, over time, the gap will truly accumulate and become an insurmountable chasm. Only now did Lin Huey realize the enormous gap in talent at this moment, a terrifying gap that ordinary people were powerless to catch up with. After completing the body tempering, he practiced the fast sword technique for 7 more times, making it 10 times in total, before slowly stopping. It was that he didn't want to continue, but rather that he felt a slight, sharp pain in his chest, indicating that he had overexerted himself. After they stopped, the students who had gone out on patrol also returned to the Taoist temple. Then Huey immediately picked up his wooden sword, found the direction of the main hall ahead, and walked quickly towards it. Once you've completed the body tempering, it's time to register and change your identity. There are many benefits to being a formal disciple. Besides improved living conditions, there's tuition which isn't as high each month. And your name will be recorded in Qingfeng Temple's annual list of recommended disciples, making you a valuable asset for various factions seeking to hire you. Tu Yu's martial arts school and sect had long been quite adept at this approach. Passing through the main hall, Lin Huey soon saw the old Taoist Mingchen, the duty manager, who was watching his disciples practice swordsmanship in the front yard. I met him once before at the intersection in the foggy area, and we met several more times after he took on the role of transmitting skills. Lin Huey recognized him at a glance. At this moment, Mingchen was stroking his goatee, his eyes scanning over the disciples below. If someone is not paying attention, they might be stunned by his otherworldly demeanor and feel a sense of awe. But Lin Huey, a disciple who had been in the Taoist temple for more than a year, knew that this person's gaze must be fixed on the hot female disciple below. Disciple Lin Huey greets true person Mingchen. Without wasting words, Lin Huey stepped forward and bowed. Is something the matter? Mingchen had clearly forgot about the boy he had met alone before. He snapped back to reality and glanced at him. This disciple has officially completed the first body tempering today and has come to change their identity list, Lin Huey said frankly. Body tempering. Not bad, Mingchen nodded casually. How long did it take to temper your body? A little over a year. Not bad, Huaneng, take him to the name registry. Mingchen pointed to a half-grown Taoist priest standing nearby and gave him instructions. Yes, the young Taoist was only 13 or 14 years old and much shorter than Lin Hui. However, these kinds of young Taoists were the closest people to the true people, so he did not dare to underestimate them and immediately greeted them respectfully. The young Taoist smiled and led Lin Hui to a small private room on one side of the main hall. He then retrieved the register and carefully registered Lin Hui's name. My senior brother has a contract with the temple, so he doesn't need to be on the recommendation list. That saves trouble, the young Taoist said with a smile. Indeed, Lin Hui nodded and smiled. Next, you can go to the front courtyard to practice on weekdays. The front courtyard is the area where we formal disciples practice. We mainly practice the 9-section fast sword and the King Feng sword, so each person is assigned a large area. The space is limited, so you have to wait for others to finish practicing before you can go. Of course, you can also go out and find a place to practice swordsmanship nearby. After entering the front courtyard, many senior brothers and sisters choose to leave the Taoist temple and go home to practice on their own, and then come to the gathering on the day of the transmission of skills to seek guidance. The young Taoist explained a few words. In short, once you enter the front courtyard, you'll be much freer than before. Some of the more capable senior brothers and sisters can even hold positions in small gangs and earn gold, living a very comfortable life. So if you encounter members of small gangs in the city, ask about their background before you make a move. Of course, they will usually ask first. And once they know our background, those with some connection to us will give us face and go around us. Thank you for your guidance, junior brother. Lin Hui clasped his hands in a thoughtful gesture. Not at all, I just know a little bit from listening to everyone talk about it, the young Taoist said with a smile. After changing his name, Lin Hui received a new black hardwood waist tag, with the simple characters King Feng carved on it, representing his current status as a formal disciple of the front courtyard. You have 3 days off now, and it's up to you how you spend them, the young Taoist priest continued. I'll go home for a bit. It's been a long time since I've been back, Lin Hui replied. After completing the name change, he turned and walked towards the backyard. As he walked out of the main hall and past the entrance to the dining hall, he encountered a group of disciples who were heading to the dining hall for a meal. Several of the girls who were traveling together happened to see him walk out of the side room of the name change register. Among the girls, the one on the left with the long braid was none other than Zai Lai, who had previously been in the same circle as Lin Hui and Chen Jishan. Looking at Lin Hui, whose posture and movements were noticeably more upright, she guessed that he must have also undergone body tempering. He's broken through too. I guess he'll be able to go into open play soon, just like Chen Jishan. She herself had already undergone body tempering last month and knew the situation in the front courtyard. There was a reason why the front courtyard had maintained a number of about 20 disciples. On the one hand, many disciples' goal is to temper their bodies, and once they achieve it, they immediately leave to make money. Another aspect is that there is also a competitive mechanism in the front yard. Only those ranked at the top are eligible to enjoy the benefits of the feedback, while those at the bottom still have to spend a lot of money to buy resources for cultivation. This leads to a deficit, and few can sustain it. That's Lin Hui, right? He's finally tempered his body. Actually, he's pretty fast, his friend said casually with a smile. So Zai Lai, are you having any regrets? Maybe he's a little genius after all, it's nothing serious. The cultivation after body tempering is more difficult and longer, and that's the real situation we need to face. With his aptitude and talent, he can't cause any trouble, Zai Lai said calmly. Now I'm following senior sister, and we're both in the body tempering stage. I can enjoy superior benefits in the Mu family, and my body tempering speed far exceeds that of ordinary front courtyard disciples. If I'm still like before, then it will truly be too late to regret it. That's true, senior sister is a kind and good-hearted person, you're quite lucky, her friend joked with a smile. Let's go. It won't be long before he realizes how important resources are to those of us who aren't geniuses. Zai Lai said no more. She was now on a completely different level from Lin Hui, whose family had fallen on hard times. Within a year at most, the gap between them will widen to a point that will drive them to despair. Xinyu Town. Under the dim light of the sky, a light rain was falling. The yellow mud on the road was trampled into a sticky mess, which was quite disgusting. Occasionally, ox carts and horse-drawn carts would pass by, splashing mud everywhere. Most of the pedestrians on the road were wearing straw hats and raincoats, and they were walking in a hurry. Squeak! Lin Huey pushed open the gate to his courtyard and saw that it was empty and quiet. A newly planted apricot tree in the yard trembled slightly in the light rain. "Father, Mother," he called out, but still no one answered. Has he gone to work? He wondered to himself. He entered the yard and turned too close the gate. Suddenly there was another creak, and the gate of the neighbor's courtyard, not far away, opened in response. Two sturdy, short men weighed the gray money bag in their hands while spitting on the ground and cursing. "Damn it! What the hell? I have to search for it myself. No money, isn't this money? These trashy old dogs are all talk and no action. Brother Huang, we should. Oh, there's someone next door. Brother Huang, hurry." Just as the other man was about to speak, he suddenly saw Lin Huey standing at the gate of the Lin family's courtyard, and his eyes lit up. Has it been received over there? Brother Huang looked over, somewhat hesitant. Really? We just arrived in this area, didn't we? Who collected it? But it's good that they've already collected it, so we can collect more later, and everything we get will be ours. Another man chuckled. I heard this family used to run an oil mill. They were rich. This was the first time the two had repeatedly collected money, so Brother Huang immediately made up his mind and turned to walk towards them. Friend, it's time to pay your security fee. We're from the Muhua gang, responsible for the daily operations and security in this area. Brother Huang said with a smile as he approached gently. The Wooden Flower Gang. I remember it was the fun gang. Lin Huey raised an eyebrow slightly. He didn't doubt the matter of the tribute, which had to be paid everywhere. He was just a little confused as to why the original Fun Gang had been replaced by the Wooden Flower Gang. You don't know this, but the Fun Gang has been beat so badly by us that they don't even dare to leave their gates. From now on, this area will all be under the jurisdiction of my Muhua. Brother Huang's eyes darted around as he smiled. How much? Lin Huey didn't suspect anything. He happened to have some wages on him, which he could just give to his parents, and that would be the end of it, so he asked. Not much. If your family wants to open a small shop, the house and the shop together will cost 5,000 coins, Brother Huang said with a smile, holding out one palm. How much? Lin Huey paused as he took out his money, then looked up at the other person. 5,000, Brother Huang repeated, a threatening smile on his face. Gentlemen, Lin Huey's tone remained polite. Isn't 5,000 a bit? Ah, Huey. Suddenly, a familiar voice drifted from the road not far away. The Yao Shan and Father Lin Shun were walking briskly back home, each carrying an oil paper umbrella. Seeing Lin Huey being blocked by two members of Brother Huang's Wooden Flower Gang, the two men involuntarily quickened their pace. Huey, are you all right? Do you guys in the Wood Flower Gang even know the rules? Didn't you just take money a few days ago? Yao Shan quickly approached, grabbed Lin Huey's arm, and turned around to angrily scold Brother Huang and the other man. They are them and we are us. The people who came before were not from our Muhua gang at all. You must have been tricked, Brother Huang laughed. Every sect has its rules, and every gang has its regulations. Are you just going to let people keep taking money from you and ruin your reputation? Lin Shun frowned and approached. Hey, you say you paid, but where's the receipt? What proof do you have that you paid before? Brother Huang's tone became impatient, and he raised his voice. The wooden flower you gave us is still here with us, Yao Shan said, trembling with anger. Anyone can carve wood flowers. It's not like it's anything special. Anyone can do it. Another man laughed. Lin Shun wanted to retort, but Lin Huey, who was standing to the side, finally couldn't hold back anymore. He reached out to stop his parents and immediately spoke up. Does your Wood Flower Gang have any members from King Feng Temple? Lin Huey suddenly changed the subject. This was to ascertain their background first. King Feng Temple? What place is that? Brother Huang asked blankly, taken aback. Brother Huang, it seems that the Venerable Yu is from King Feng Temple. The man next to him reacted much faster and immediately reminded him in a low voice. Yu Gongfeng? Brother Huang's expression changed, and he immediately scrutinized Lin Huey carefully. Soon, he saw the special official disciple's waist tag made by King Feng Temple, hidden by Lin Huey's leather raincoat. You can take a closer look. Lin Huey took off his waist tag and tossed it to the other person. Brother Huang hurriedly caught it, carefully checked it, and confirmed that it was a fake. He had indeed seen similar brands on the statue. His expression changed, and he handed the waste token back with both hands. Since it's from King Feng Temple, then this month's allowance is waived. As for the previous ones, I'll check with the gang later. They should be able to refund quite a bit. That's it. Lin Huey put away his waste token, his expression calm. Well, we were the ones who offended you this time. We'll definitely give you an explanation. We'll be leaving now. Brother Wong gritted his teeth, clasped his hands in a fist salute to Lin Huey with his henchmen, and turned to leave quickly. Only after the two figures completely disappeared at the end of the road did Lin Huey turn around and look at his parents. At this moment, the mother's face was shaken, and she was unable to react for a while. They just left like that. They even said they'd refund the money they collected earlier. She could hardly believe that the arrogant and domineering Muhua gang had suddenly become so easy to talk to. It should be true, Lin Huey nodded. After all, to be honest, many of these gangs have connections with martial arts schools like ours, big and small. They are not afraid of me, but of the places I represent, and the people from King Feng Temple in their respective gangs. Yao Shan was still somewhat incredulous upon hearing this. She felt things had been resolved far too easily. Yet, everything happening before her eyes seemed so real. She couldn't help but believe it. You've tempered your body. You've broken through to become a formal disciple. Lin Shun, the father standing beside him, suddenly asked. Yes, I just broke through. Lin Huey nodded frankly, his gaze meeting Lin Shun's. Suddenly, he saw a hint of relief on the other person's face, as if the pressure had been lifted. That's good, however. Lin Shun was well aware that the role and influence of a formal disciple were limited. If it weren't for the fact that his own gang had people from King Feng Temple, the Muhua gang wouldn't have been able to retreat so easily. After all, there are so many martial arts schools and so many disciples. If everyone gave them face and didn't accept money, then no gang would survive. Those two might not have been telling the truth. It's very likely they knew you were a formal disciple who had entered the body tempering stage, and that you weren't an ordinary person. They probably couldn't beat you, so they just went along with it and ran away, he sighed. Don't really think you're strong because of your status. Don't rely on it. Yes, Dad, I know, Lin Huey nodded. Good to know. Sigh, but you have indeed reached the point where you can help ease the burden on your family. As a formal disciple of King Feng Temple, you are considered quite capable among wealthy families, and you are already somewhat qualified to receive some exemptions. The heavy burden he had been carrying alone was now light by at least 30% simply because the Muhua gang's allowance had been reduced. Come on, Shanshan, warm up some wine and food for us. Let's sit down and have a drink, Lin Shun said with satisfaction as he turned and went inside. Okay, I'll go right away. Yao Shen quickly turned around and went inside. After the family returned home, they closed the gate to their yard. But not far away, the gate to their neighbor's yard quietly opened. A pair of eyes glanced over here several times, their gazes filled with envy and helplessness. After a while, their eyes disappeared again, and the courtyard gate closed. In the courtyard, Lin Shun and Lin Huey sat facing each other at a stone table, drinking with pig ears they had bought. This is Lao Liu's old yellow wine, infused with medicinal herbs. It can replenish blood and kai and invigorate the spirit. You can have a couple of cups without any problem. Lin Shun picked up his wine cup and gently clinked it with his sons. Two white-gray wine glasses clinked softly in midair, a clear and pleasant sound. Actually, I don't like drinking, Lin Huey said helplessly. Could you drink less? It's good that you don't like it, haha. Lin Shun downed his small glass in one gulp and laughed. Sigh, only those who are depressed seek out alcohol to temporarily relax. It seems you're not depressed at all. Indeed, Lin Huey nodded. He took a small sip of the pale yellow, amber-like liquor. It tasted sweet with a unique herbal flavor, and it was actually quite fragrant. To be honest, for something like the Woodflower Gang incident, I could ask old friends for help, but favors can only last once, twice, 3 or 4 times. People can't keep helping you forever. If you use their help too much and they never reciprocate, even the best relationships will break down, Lin Shun sighed. Therefore, favors should be used at crucial moments, Lin Huey nodded. That's true, but don't forget one thing. Favors fade over time. If you don't use them for a while, people won't recognize you anymore. So it's very tricky to manage this, Lin Shun sighed. But what exactly is human sentiment? Lin Huey asked calmly. He had never been interested in these things before, but he asked them casually at this moment. Human favors are about give and take, Lin Shun smiled. Only when others feel indebted to you will they repay you in the future. But these repayments can't be perfectly 1-to-1. Everyone tries to get things done in a balanced way. When you repay a favor, you can't calculate it so precisely. You have to go a little over. That way, others will repay you in return. In this way, trust is built through give and take. But all of this is predicated on give and take, Lin Huey pondered. He recalled some situations he had witnessed in his previous life, and indeed, that was the case. Yes, you need to have the ability to do things for others to come to you. If you don't have that ability, then it depends on whether the other party is ethical, because such an effort is unlikely to be rewarded. Lin Shun continued, I didn't use favors before because I cherished them. But now that you are able to support the family a little, life will be much easier in the future. I don't have to worry about what to do when the favors run out. I see, Lin Huey nodded in understanding. Come on, let's have another drink, bite. The two men clinked their glasses together and drank one sip after another, finishing the small pot of wine in no time. Lin Shun's face flushed, and he even hummed a little tune happily at their end, before being helped by Yao Shen into the inner room to rest. Lin Huey was left alone in the courtyard, looking at the dim sky, feeling a strange sense of peace. Not long after they sat down, the courtyard gate was knocked on again. Knock, knock, knock. He got up and went to open the door. Standing outside the door were Brother Huang and his companion who had just left, as well as a thin, scarred woman. Brother Lin, this is the money your family used to pay. It's all been returned. Not a penny less. And this is a small apology. I apologize for not clarifying the details before. Brother Huang handed over a small money bag, along with a bag of kumquats. The recent kumquat harvest was poor, causing prices to rise and making it a relatively expensive fruit. Okay, I'll take the money and the kumquats. Lin Huey took the money bag, but before he could finish speaking, the other party forced it on him. We accept it, we accept it. We broke their rules first. This is an apology. We hope you will be lenient with us at the martial arts school, Brother Huang said humbly. He was just an ordinary gang member. If he were to be targeted by these martial artists who were undergoing body tempering and were to be ambushed and killed one day, then all his efforts would be in vain. Oh, this bag of kumquats was actually a gift he bought out of his own pocket as an apology. He might have to take better care of the Lin family afterwards to make amends. All right, I won't spread this around. Let's leave it at that. Lin Huey put away the oranges. Is there anything else? No, it's nothing. This is my sister. She'll be patrolling the area later. I brought her here to get to know her. Brother Huang patted the scarred woman's back and said politely. Okay, go back if you have nothing else to do. I won't see you off. Lin Huey didn't want to waste words with these low-level gang members. He understood their way of survival. But while he understood their tendency to bully the weak and fear the strong, he didn't want to associate with them. All right, then I won't bother you any longer. Brother Huang nodded repeatedly. The courtyard gate closed gently. Lin Huey, carrying oranges and a money bag, turned around and saw his mother standing at the door of the inner room, looking in their direction. He held up the money bag and oranges to his mother. It's nothing. It's just the Muhua gang coming to return the money and apologize. Upon hearing this, Yao Shan's expression immediately relaxed, and then her gaze fell on the money bag and oranges. These people from the Wooden Flower gang actually came to repay the money. Only when she actually saw the money did she truly realize the real impact her son becoming a formal disciple had on her family. That's not something ethereal or intangible. It's an influence that can be tangibly translated into money and profit. Looking at her son Lin Huey standing in the yard, Yao Shan suddenly realized that the family, which had been struggling to stay afloat with only her husband's help, now had an extra pillar of support. Although the pillar was thick, it helped her husband stabilize their roof, which was on the verge of collapse, allowing the house to continue to shelter her from the wind and rain. I stayed at home for 3 days. Then Huey also met the people from the Fun gang. The other party tactfully returned half of the fee, which was quite good since there were no people from Qingfeng Temple in the gang. This brought a significant amount of cash flow back to the family. With his parents seeing him off, Lin Huey returned to Qingfeng Temple and first went to see Taoist Mingde. After all, it was Mingde who arranged for him to enter the temple in the first place. So he always had to go and see him after his body was tempered. Mingde's room was located in a secluded courtyard outside Qingfeng Temple. He didn't live inside the Taoist temple, but instead built his own courtyard right next to it. When Lin Huey arrived, he was scattering a handful of dry rice to feed the chickens. A flock of plump, waddling yellow chickens, resembling a group of pale yellow spheres, rolled and scurried around the yard. Disciple Lin Huey greets Truman Ming. Lin Huey stood outside the courtyard and bowed to the other party through the fence. "It's you. How's your dad?" Ming finished scattering all the rice and looked up at Lin Huey. You've finally broken through to the body tempering stage." "Not bad, not bad." A smile appeared on his face. "Thanks to the master's blessing, I was fortunate enough to break through," Lin Huey said in a deep voice. "For someone your age, breaking through to the next level in time is not bad. But the real gap will widen from here. Have you thought about how to make money?" "You won't earn much money staying at King Feng Temple," Ming said casually. "I haven't decided yet." Lin Huey was taken aback and shook his head. Ming opened the door and let him in, then turned and walked toward the inner room as he spoke. "Now that you've broken through the body tempering realm, old Lin's life is a bit easier. He's such a stubborn guy, he absolutely refused to let me help him. Now that's better, you're somewhat useful now. Thank you for your kindness, Master," Lin Huey said sincerely again. From that last sentence, he understood that Master Ming had been keeping track of his family's situation. It was just that his father, due to personal relationships, was unwilling to let him help. "Don't mention it. Your father helped me a lot back then. Come and sit down." Ming found 2 stools, one for each of them, and they sat down at the table in the inner room. "Since you don't plan on it, how about I make arrangements for you?" He seemed to have been prepared all along. "Please speak, sir," Lin Huey said hurriedly. "Because of your contract with the temple, you can't go to the wealthy households. However, the temple has always cooperated with the town government. They need to transfer people from here to form a security auxiliary patrol team with the other martial arts schools. This team will cooperate with the government officials to patrol the surrounding area. The main task is to catch robbers and thieves and kill any ferocious beasts or monsters that wander into the foggy area. Of course, you will only play a lookout role in the latter, so don't worry about it." Ming paused for a moment, then continued. "The work will still be included in the King Feng Temple contract. In addition to the temple's share, the salary will be an extra 10,000 yuan per month. And room and board will be free. Most importantly, we martial artists always need real combat experience. You can't become a master by just practicing behind closed doors all the time. This disciple is willing," Lin Huey readily agreed. "Just kidding, aside from the salary at the temple, I can earn 10,000 a month, which is definitely a lucrative job. Although it's a bit dangerous, as Ming said, martial arts training always involves real combat. Okay, I'll send your name over later. You need to practice your 9-section sword more. You'll be doing real combat outside." Also, he got up and went to a wooden cabinet in the corner, opened the cabinet, and took out a silver-black sword that was more than a meter long and wrapped with non-slip cloth. "This is for you." He placed the sword in front of Lin Huey. "This is a top-quality sword from Yunsong Pavilion. Take good care of it. It will last you a long time. Remember to maintain it and sharpen it regularly. This is too valuable." Lin Huey was shocked. Real weapons are expensive to begin with. Even the cheapest metal weapon costs tens of thousands of coins, let alone this one from Yunsong Pavilion. Yunsong Pavilion is a renowned weapons shop in the inner city, offering superior quality weapons at equally high prices. This sword, by that calculation, would probably cost over 100,000. He quickly stood up and declined. "What's the rush? Consider it a loan. You can pay me back when you make more money," Ming said nonchalantly. "All right, stop nagging. This sword is useless to me, it'll just rust. Take it and consider it a favor to help me maintain it. This house will fall into disrepair if no one lives here for a long time, let alone weapons." Without giving him a chance to explain, he forced Lin Huey to take the sword with him, and then gave Lin Huey some pointers on their essentials of practicing the 9-section quick sword. The two chatted for more than 10 minutes before Lin Huey got up to say goodbye. Only after Lin Huey had completely left and gone far away did a long-haired girl emerge from the bedroom. "Father, it's just a favor from a long time ago. Is it really necessary to go to such lengths? That kid isn't exactly a genius, and he doesn't have much potential for the future. Is it worth it?" The girl's appearance was about 50% similar to Ming's, with a pretty face. And the other 50% was obviously inherited from her mother. Her figure was curvaceous, especially her long, rounded legs, and her waist and lower body were firm and taut. Even a light green dress could not hide her mature body curves. Wei Lin Shun helped me through a difficult time back then, and now that I'm repaying him, he doesn't want it. So I can only repay him through his son, which is also the result he wants, Ming said calmly. But is it really necessary to go to such lengths? Her daughter Wei said helplessly. There's no way this will ever pay off. It's all a waste of money. This is my principle in life. Ming's voice rose slightly. Wei, remember this, there are always some things in this world that cannot be measured by money. Yes, yes, yes. Hearing this old-fashioned argument, Wei rolled her eyes speechlessly. But she stopped arguing with her father. This was the first time something like this had happened, and Ming's help for his friend had already placed a considerable burden on his family. But no matter what they said, it was no use. Then Huey returned to his residence and, seeing that it was still early and before it got dark and foggy, took his wooden sword and went to the front school field. He plans to formally learn the 9-section sword. As for the blood seal, it has officially begun its evolution of that dead insect egg. The evolution direction is a 1-month sealing array toxin. It's only a month he can wait. Upon arriving at the front yard, the training ground was divided into 10 areas, most of which were already occupied. Only the seats near the front door were unoccupied, perhaps because people were constantly coming and going there, causing significant disturbance. Then Huey drew his sword, took up a spot, stood in the center, and slowly began to practice the 7-section fast sword. Not far behind him was his senior brother, Chen Sui. On the other side, in another area, was the genius Huang Shan. The two of them had clearly been practicing for a while. Seeing Lin Huey approach, Chen Sui remained unaffected and continued practicing the King Feng sword technique with unwavering focus. Huang Shan had some recollection of Lin Huey, all because Chen Chong had touched her buttocks back then. And Lin Huey had also had a conflict with Chen Chong because of her friend. She witnessed Chen Jishan's affair from afar. Both men shared similarities due to their conflicts with Chen Chong. Seeing Lin Huey practicing his sword at this moment, his 7-section fast sword routine unfolded like flowing clouds and water, giving people an indescribable sense of agility. Huang Shan's eyes lit up immediately. For some reason, she felt that Lin Huey seemed to be even better at training than she was. After watching several times, she saw Lin Huey go to Mingxiu, the Taoist priest on duty, to learn the 9-section fast sword. Lin Huey quickly learned the first few moves of the 9-section fast sword. When he returned and practiced them repeatedly, he completely lost his previous amazing skills and became slow and clumsy, like a child dancing. Huang Shan quickly lost interest. Time passed day by day. Lin Huey quickly obtained the position of inspector at the town government office that Ming had mentioned. Besides him, there were 4 other people who went on their inspection. Among them, Huang Shankyu Yiren and Chen Chong were prominently listed. The last person was Chen Sui, the senior brother in charge of leading that team. Clearly in this team, the senior brother relies on his strength, Huang Shan and Q Yiren rely on their talent, and he and Chen Chong rely on their connections. Lin Huey clearly understood this point. Because there was no bloodstain, his progress with the 9-section quick sword was extremely slow. But he remained completely calm. Because his body tempering speed was maximized every day, he could feel his body becoming more and more agile. Until 2 days before they were to depart for their inspection. Then Huey finally got the blood seal's special effect on the 7-section quick sword activated. As night fell, Lin Huey stood alone in the center of the inner room, the small hut he was assigned after becoming a formal disciple. The room is large enough that you can practice swordsmanship without worrying about not having enough space. Holding the black sword given to him by Ming, Lin Huey focused all his attention on the red words in the blood seal. As his attention focused, information about the 7-section quick sword quickly surfaced. 7-section quick sword basic training method of King Feng Temple, fundamental swordsmanship. A prerequisite for 9-section quick sword. Evolutionary branch 2, current status successful. After tempering your body to a cert stage at the perfect realm, the special effect lightness of body can be activated. This effect is currently active, lightness. I thought that special effect was gone, but it seems it's still there. Lin Huey took a breath, confirming in his mind that the special effect would be activated. In an instant, he suddenly felt his whole body light. It was the illusion that came with body tempering, but rather that his body really felt much lighter all of a sudden. He drew his sword and unleashed a 9-section swift sword technique. A whooshing sound suddenly exploded out. His sword technique at this moment was more than twice as fast as normal. The sword shadow was almost completely invisible. Although he had previously been unable to see the sword shadow due to body tempering while practicing swordsmanship, he could at least see him through the afterimage. At this moment, the shadow had completely transformed into a curtain, enveloping him completely. He had never seen anyone move at such an exaggerated speed, not even in the previous disciple competitions. While speed does not represent absolute strength, high speed certainly indicates high strength. Then Huey carefully recalled the previous competition among the formal disciples. Apart from the improved movement speed due to body tempering, they did not seem to have any special explosive improvement. Otherwise, it would have been impossible to hide it so well in the first place. He estimated that after using the lightness effect, his speed would be comparable only to that of his senior brothers and sisters when they launched their sword attacks. Such a powerful effect, of course. If he were to actually face off against his senior brother, given his terrible skills with the 9-section quick sword and his complete lack of mastery of the King Feng sword, he would definitely lose. But this speed alone is enough to easily defeat 70–80% of the formal disciples. But after a short while, Lin Huey suddenly felt his heart racing and his mind exhausted. It seems the special effects consume a lot of resources and can't be kept on all the time. They should only be used in crucial moments. Physical limitations mean the special effects can't be active for long. I still need to learn the King Feng sword technique as soon as possible. A 9-section quick sword is an offensive and killing move of the 7-section quick sword, while the King Feng sword technique is a complete set of sword techniques that includes both body tempering and offensive capabilities. Body tempering is an advancement of the 7-section quick sword. Having set his goal, Lin Huey continued to immerse himself in body tempering cultivation, focusing all his attention on it. Inside the room, the light was dim and yellow, and the shadow of him wielding his sword flickered rapidly under the light. Outside in the gray fog, a long, eerie shadow like a snake could be seen crawling silently, hissing. Before long, after completing 10 rounds of body tempering exercises, Lin Huey quickly regulated his breathing, and turned off the lights and lay down to rest. His gaze swept across the window and he saw long, thin snake shadows reflected in the hazy moonlight outside, climbing like giant vines. What blocked all of this was nothing more than a small, purplish-black stone hanging on the wall inside the house. It was a jade talisman obtained from the Rain Palace in the inner city. With just this small piece, it can keep out those strange and eerie fog monsters outside. Lin Huey didn't understand. Looking at the small jade talisman, he always felt a strange unease. What if one day the jade talisman suddenly stops working? This thought suddenly flashed through his mind. This was the first time such a thought had crossed my mind, but there was nothing I could do. Aside from the jade talisman, there was no other way to allow the living to survive in the night's mist. He had never heard of such a person before. With a soft sigh, Lin Huey forced himself to close his eyes and rest. The next day, he packed his luggage, ate breakfast, and then continued practicing his sword. He still needed a lot of time to familiarize himself with the newly learned 9-section fast sword technique. This is a move with a completely different style from the previous 7 sections of fast swordplay. It can be said to be the opposite style. If the first 7 sections of the swift sword are like the compression of a spring, and the 9 sections of the swift sword are the violent release of that compressed spring. The intensity of that burst of power was closely related to the 7-section quick sword. Then Huey tempered his body again and again, completing 10 rounds of body tempering and the practice of the 9-section quick sword by the end of the morning. After lunch, he continued to practice the 9-section quick sword, but after only the 3rd round, several more people came to watch. The bystanders appeared to be a small group of 3, led by Chen Chong, who had previously clashed with Chen Jishan. He and his 2 henchmen were squinting at Lin Huey's practice, their eyes gleaming, their intentions unknown. Brush. Lin Huey abruptly sheathed his sword and looked at the 3 of them. You 3 senior brothers have something to discuss. It's nothing. I just came to see what merit my newly promoted junior brother has to be selected for the patrol team like me. After all, there are only 5 people needed for the entire front yard. Chen Chong smiled, his tone sarcastic. I'm sorry to disappoint you, senior brother. I got in through connections with Master Mingde, not through my own abilities, Lin Huey replied earnestly. Forehead. Chen Chong was taken aback by his undisguised frankness and stared at him for a moment, unsure of how to respond. He originally intended to mock the other party's weakness, which was attributed to connections. However, The other party retorted directly, I got in through connections. I'm very weak. Please bear with me, senior. He was at a loss. I've seen shameless people, but I've never seen anyone as clever as my junior brother. Chen Chong said speechlessly, realizing he might have underestimated Lin Huey before. Is there anything else you'd like to say, senior brother? Lin Huey asked calmly. This Chen Chong was about to speak when Ming Taoist, who was not far away, began clapping his hands to gather everyone together. Those departing tomorrow, come over and prepare. Everyone in your teams, get to know each other better. Master Ming had his disciples set up a separate area as the meeting point for the teams. Before long, there were 5 people in total: the eldest brother Chen Sui, the 2 geniuses Huang Shan and Qiu Yiren, and then the 2 people with connections, Chen Chong and Lin Huey. Everyone quickly gathered and stood in front of Master Ming. I've gathered everyone here so that you can get to know each other's general strengths and abilities, so that you can make proper arrangements and responses at critical moments and maximize the team's strength, Ming said. It's just a matter of starting the fight. That's easy, Chen Chong said directly. This was his first time taking on such a lucrative assignment, so he was naturally quite familiar with it. Since the last inspection, there are 3 new recruits: Huang Shan, Qiu Yiren and Lin Huey. So the main targets of this assessment are the 3 of you. Chen Chong, you'll be the one to be tested. Your strength is just right, Ming said bluntly. Chen Chong nodded, drew his sword, and stepped out to stand in the open space. He has been at Qingfeng Temple for 5 years. Currently, his strength ranks 13th in the front courtyard, neither high nor low, making him a good benchmark for comparing the 3 newcomers. I'm ready. Who wants to go first? Chen Chong's gaze swept over the 3 of them, then quickly landed on Huang Shan. He'd been eyeing this girl for a while, wanting to get his hands on her but unable to, and had even been warned by Ming for it. Now during the competition, his gaze swept over Huang Shan's pert little buttocks, and his heart started to itch again. You asked for it? Huang Shan was enraged by his disgusting gaze, so he immediately drew his sword and stepped forward to stand opposite him. The 2 men pointed their wooden swords diagonally at the ground. Their eyes met, and they quickly got into position. An inexplicable aura lingered between the 2. Begin, Ming commanded. With a whoosh, 2 sharp sounds of air being torn apart erupted simultaneously. Both were body-tempering practitioners, and both wielded 9-section fast swords. At this moment, they used speed to fight speed, and the 2 wooden swords collided and clashed in an instant, producing a crisp sound. Boom! The 2 passed each other, then stepped back onto the ground and slashed diagonally with their swords. This is a killing move from the 9-section quick sword technique, looking back at the moon. It would be best to turn around and launch a sneak attack after a fruitless duel, but unfortunately, the 2 had the same idea, and the 2 swords clashed again, making a crisp sound. In this second collision, Chen Chongqiang was clearly stronger. His strength overwhelmed Huang Shan, who had only recently undergone body tempering, and he easily pushed him away. But Huang Shan truly lived up to his reputation as a genius. His understanding and application of swordsmanship were clearly superior to Chen Chong's. She swiftly circled around, retreated, and turned to the side. Her wooden sword, like a venomous snake, curved and swiftly stabbed towards Chen Chong's waist from the other side. This attack threw Chen Chong, who was preparing to press his advantage, into a panic. He had intended to attack, but because his waist was unprotected, he could only hastily change his move to parry the wooden sword. The 2 exchanged blows, switching between offense and defense, and in just a few seconds they had gone through more than 10 moves. Their speed was swift. Then Huey stood aside, watching the battle with Qiu Yiren and Chen Sui. It seems senior brother Chen's 13 disciples won't be able to keep their positions for long. Junior sister Wang has improved a lot since last time, Chen Sui said calmly. He was the strongest among all the disciples, and the one in the sect closest to the Ming generation. Qingfeng's sword was already incredibly proficient, and he had begun to pursue a higher level of swordsmanship beyond mere techniques. His vision was naturally on a different level from that of ordinary disciples. To be precise, he, his second senior brother Zhao Jiang'an, and his third senior sister, who is also the eldest senior sister Mu Kaiaji, have formed a complete gap with all their other front court disciples. The 3 of them had long since embarked on the path of pursuing the realm of Qingfeng sword, rather than simply mastering sword techniques. Even with body tempering, the tempering technique of the Qingfeng sword, they had almost reached the limit their bodies could withstand. After all, the 3 of them had been in Qingfeng Temple for many years and were all exceptionally talented. Their cultivation time was simply unmatched by others. Does senior brother think junior sister Wang will win? Lin Hui asked softly. Judging from their performance, junior brother Chen is stronger, while junior sister Wang is faster and more aptitude, and her moves are more agile. Their auras are about the same, with very little difference, Chen Sui commented. Just then, the two had exchanged more than 800 moves. Chen Chong was clearly running out of energy, while Huang Shan remained agile. Just as Chen Chong took a step and his wooden sword was slightly slower in its attack, Huang Shan seized the momentary opening and thrust his sword into Chen Chong's left shoulder. With a soft poof, Chen Chong fell backward with a cry of pain. All right, Huang Shan wins. I have a pretty good understanding of your levels. Chen Chong hasn't improved at all, as usual. Huang Shan has improved a lot, not bad. Ming said calmly, then looked at Qiu Yiren and Lin Hui beside him. You two go. Lin Huiqiu and Yiren stepped forward, raised their wooden swords, and bowed to each other with clasped hands. This was Lin Hui's first formal sparring match, and he was somewhat nervous. However, thinking about how terrible his 9-section fast sword technique was, and how he had only practiced for a few days, he figured it didn't matter if he performed poorly. And he gradually relaxed. He looked at Qiu Yiren across from him and noticed that she was also a little nervous. Begin, Ming commanded. The two simultaneously thrust at each other's torso. This is the Thousand Mountain Thrust, a technique from the 9-section quick sword. Although the moves were the same, Lin Hui's were noticeably different from the standard sword techniques. This caused him to lose his balance from the start, and Qiu Yiren easily struck him with a downward slash, making his hand tremble and almost causing him to drop the wooden sword. In just a few seconds, the two exchanged blows, their wooden swords clashing repeatedly, and Lin Hui was quickly forced to retreat. Immediately afterwards, with a whoosh, the wooden sword in his hand was flicked away and flew into the crowd of disciples watching the commotion in the front yard, where it was caught in mid-air. Junior brother Lin, here's your sword. The man chuckled and tossed it back to Lin Hui. Lin Hui quickly caught it, his face flushed, and with a wry smile, he clasped his hands in a fist salute to the other person, and then clasped his hands in a fist salute to Qiu Yiren. Thank you for showing mercy, junior sister. He had entered the sect before her, so it was normal for him to address her as junior sister. We're not even familiar with this 9-section sword, Qiu Yiren said helplessly, not knowing what to say. That's how it is after just being promoted. After all, I've only been learning swordsmanship for a few days, Lin Hui said helplessly. All right, he's a descendant of my friend, and he got the position through my connections. The government also gave him an extra spot because of me. It doesn't count against the temple's quota. Master Ming clapped his hands and explained, I have a general idea of your abilities. Chen Sui, go and give Yiren some pointers so everyone can see the difference. Yes, senior brother Chen Sui nodded, picked up his sword and stepped forward to face Qiu Yiren, clasping his hands in greeting. Junior sister, be careful. Please enlighten me, senior brother. Qiu Yiren nodded, drawing her sword and staring intently at her opponent. But, with a crisp hissing sound, he didn't even see how the person disappeared before the wooden sword in her hand was forcibly knocked away by a great force. The wooden sword was still whistling and circling in midair when a large hand suddenly reached out, grasped the hilt, and stopped it in place. You flatter me? Chen Sui looked calmly at Qiu Yiren, who seemed somewhat dazed. One move. He defeated the so-called genius swordsman with a single move. See, Ming added from the side. Someone like Chen Sui has already reached the pinnacle of external martial arts. He has tempered his body to the limit. The main difference between him and the other external martial arts masters lies in his understanding of the moves and his grasp of the timing and state. Master, how many other martial arts schools, gangs, and sects have external martial arts masters like senior brother? Huang Shen asked curiously, having recovered some of his strength. The Yemen used to have an assessment system for the 9th rank of external martial arts. This was based solely on the level of body tempering. It didn't represent specific strength, and it couldn't judge comprehension of techniques or anything like that. You can use it as a rough reference, Ming explained. Chen Sui, Zhao Jiangan, and Mu Kaiaji are all at the 9th rank of external martial arts with body tempering strength. Their bodies have reached their limit. As for the 4 of you, Chen Chong is probably at the 4th rank. Wang Shan is at the 3rd rank, Qiu Yiren is at the 3rd rank. And Lin Hui only broke through a few days ago. Judging from his movement speed, he should only be at the 1st rank. How is this grade divided? Huang Shan continued to ask. It's very simple. Observe carefully. In actual combat, our 9-section swift sword will involuntarily leave behind subtle afterimages of the sword swing. There is one afterimage flashing by for each grade. It is very clear. Other martial arts have different methods of judgment. But no matter what, if you encounter a speed-type master who can leave 9 afterimages in one go, don't be stupid. Just turn around and run away. He paused, then continued, of course, not all martial arts are graded based on speed and afterimages. For specific judgments, just listen to your senior brother. He will tell you how to act based on the threat level of your opponent. The group looked at Chen Sui, who shrugged and nodded. After having lunch together in the afternoon, everyone went back to rest. Early the next morning, as soon as the fog lifted, Ming led the 5 men away from the Taoist temple and headed towards the government office in Xinyu Town. An hour later, the 5 men, led by Chen Sui, changed their clothes and began their formal patrol work. As Ming said, their patrols mainly target minor cases and petty thieves. Then Huey patrolled with them for an hour, taking 3 breaks in between. He made one move and caught a petty thief who stole someone's purse. But there was nothing else he found. They encountered no further problems until the very end, and each returned safely to their lodgings to rest. Their accommodation was a designated small building arranged by the government, and food and drink were taken care of. The group thus completed their first day's basic patrol. Then came the second day, the third day. Street scene in Xinyu Town. Pedestrians come and go. Trucks constantly move from the main road to the backyards of various shops, and farmers carry vegetables and rice to the roadside to set up stalls and hawk their wares. Then Huey and Q Yiren were dressed in gray and white outfits, with a white patrol token issued by the government office tied around their waists. Both men wore long leather boots and white face masks. At their waists hung their respective weapons, real iron longswords. The two strolled leisurely along the street, avoiding the mud splattered by vehicles, conducting a rather tedious and casual inspection. This job is good, but to be honest, it's a bit too boring. Q Yiren yawned, feeling sleepy. She was a girl who paid great attention to her image, but after patrolling for a long time, she became bored and couldn't help but relax and ruin her image. Indeed, at first I thought there really were some fog monsters, but it turns out Lin Huey agreed. These days, he has been practicing the 9-section fast sword every day, no longer practicing the complete set of sword techniques as before, but still practicing one move at a time. With such practice, his proficiency skyrocketed. Without special effects, his speed was already at the 3rd or 4th rank of a body-tempering disciple, comparable to Huang Shan and the others, incredibly fast. If he activated the lightness skill, he estimated he could unleash a speed and movement technique exceeding that of his senior brothers for a short period. However, while his speed was fast, his swordsmanship was poor. He knew he was unlikely to win against his senior brother in a fight, but the speed difference would allow him to quickly escape the battlefield, making him neither victorious nor defeated. This was the key reason he chose Qingfeng Temple. I wonder how things are going on senior brother's side. He's with Wang Shen and Chen Cheng, Q Yiren's side. He wanted to go check on their other side, but her teammates weren't even familiar with the 9-section quick sword, so she was definitely the main force. And the main force couldn't just run off and slack off, otherwise Lin Huey would be in trouble if she left. The two strolled slowly past the shops along the street. This was the central street of Xinyu Town, where small shops were all open for business. Because of the fog in the mornings and evenings, townspeople are relatively pressed for time if they want to buy everything they need and finish their work during the day. Therefore, most people passing by are in a hurry. It should be fine. Although quite a few people have come from other districts recently, they are all experts who entered the inner city and have no connection with the towns surrounding our outer city. If Lin Huey was about to continue speaking when suddenly, not far ahead, a muffled thud came from the 2nd floor of a 2-story gray-white restaurant. A living person crashed through a window and fell heavily from the upper floor. "You son of a bitch. How dare you bully me?" A rough male voice roared, followed by a violent clash of weapons. Something's happened. Q Yiren immediately became excited. This job was too boring, and she could finally find something new to do. He gripped her sword and rushed swiftly towards the restaurant without the slightest hesitation. Then Huey glanced at the restaurant's name, Wanjia Restaurant. Helpless, he hurried after them. These patrol assistants were tasked with maintaining order before the actual patrol officers arrived. They had encountered petty thieves during their patrols before, but they were all weaklings who could be taken down in 2 moves, They were all ordinary people. But this time, the noise seemed different. Lin Huey secretly became more vigilant. The two quickly went up to the restaurant, identified themselves, and were immediately led up to the second floor by the panicked restaurant staff. As soon as they went up, they saw two burly men fighting each other with weapons in hand. A burly man with a bald head and dressed in cloth held a thick wooden stick covered with iron bars. He seemed to be performing a set of stick techniques, which looked quite impressive. The other man, dressed in a gray robe with a black belt around his waist and a full beard, was holding a white single-bladed knife in both hands and was fighting head-on with the other man without backing down. Hugh Yiren went upstairs, observed two moves, and quickly made a decision. They are all ordinary martial artists who haven't undergone body tempering, one for each of them. Okay, Lin Huey replied. Before he could finish speaking, he saw Hugh Yiren flash by and, much faster than the other two, pierce right between them. Side two sword shadows pierced the vital points of the two men respectively. Attacking both of them simultaneously forced them to retreat and defend. Who goes there, governors? Stop right now, Hugh Yiren shouted, her long sword swirling once more, easily pinning the bearded man to the spot as he hastily parried. However, the two were vastly different in their agility, speed, and attack methods. The bearded man kept swinging his sword at the wrong point, and several sword cuts appeared on his body in the blink of an eye. He was so frightened that he broke out in a cold sweat and kept shouting that he would stop fighting. On the other side, Lin Huey stopped the bald man who was still trying to run away. Monk, don't rush off. It would be best if we could avoid fighting. I'm not a monk. Before the bald man could finish speaking, he suddenly rushed towards the entrance of the restaurant stairs. But his movement speed was nowhere near that of Lin Huey after his body tempering. After only a few steps, Lin Huey blocked his way again. The bald man moved again, but was immediately blocked again. After the two repeated this several times, the bald man finally gave up. I didn't want to fight either, but that guy was too much. He insisted on buying the old ginseng I had. I was so angry that I threw his servants out. Don't tell me these things. Tell the messengers when they come, Lin Huey said firmly. He stared at the bald man while glancing around. Inside the restaurant, there were some daring diners watching the commotion, as well as waiters. Several of these people were carrying weapons and needed to be kept a close watch on, just in case. However, after patrolling for so long, he roughly understood the situation. The proportion of body-tempering martial artists on the streets is very low. In all the days they've been patrolling, they've only encountered two, and both were from nearby martial arts schools. After they introduced themselves and exchanged a few words of advice, the matter was resolved. This is what's known as the dynamics of human relationships in the martial arts world. Face is reciprocal. This area is King Feng Temple's patrol zone, and the other party is showing respect to King Feng Temple. When someone from King Feng Temple gets into trouble in their patrol zone, the other party will reciprocate by not causing them any embarrassment or trouble. Then Huey had thought that by going on patrol, he would encounter more skilled opponents and be able to participate in more real combat. But it seems that in their end, it all comes down to personal relationships, which left him quite helpless. He has now mastered only 2 killing moves of the 9-section quick sword, and his body tempering is progressing by leaps and bounds. 1 day of his training is equivalent to 3 days for an ordinary disciple, and 1.5 days for a genius like Huang Shan. Moreover, his efficiency is much higher. While others need 2 hours to temper their bodies and reach their limit, he only needs 10 repetitions, taking less than half an hour in total. This also gave him plenty of time to practice the rest. I knew you guys were all in cahoots. The bold man on the other side became anxious after being intercepted several times, and his eyes turned faintly red. He roared and swung his wooden stick at Lin Huey, but before he could finish the move, he heard a strange sound of sword light, felt a pain in his hand holding the stick, and could no longer hold the weapon, which fell to the ground. Well done, shouted the bearded man on the other side, his voice filled with delight. You guys hold him down. This guy stole my ginseng. 3 servants in black, armed with short knives and small shields, rushed upstairs beside him. Bullshit. That's mine. The bald man was furious upon hearing this. He immediately went to pick up the wooden stick again. Stop it, all of you, Hugh Yiren shouted from the side. But neither side listened, and it looked like they were about to fight again. He immediately attacked again, her sword flashing, her 9-section swift sword completely overwhelming these ordinary servants. These servants were simply strong and knew a little bit of basic swordsmanship. They were easily defeated and knocked to the ground in a few moves. We are patrol assistants from King Feng Temple. If you make another move, you are disrespecting King Feng Temple, Q Yiren shouted. Then Huey struck the bald man again with a few more sword strikes, the sword tip hovering in front of his face. We must give King Feng Temple face, of course. I am Duan Zind from Feiyun Pavilion. Senior sister, could you please remove your sword from my brother? At this moment, 3 more men and women dressed in white entered the restaurant. One of them had sharp eyebrows and bright eyes, stood 1.8 meters tall, and wore silver and black metal armor. He had a commanding presence and immediately fixed his gaze on Q Yiren, who was controlling the bearded woman. Flying Cloud Pavilion, Q Yiren's eyes flashed. The strength of the Flying Cloud Pavilion's master was even greater than that of her own King Feng Temple's treasure and Taoist, which made her feel somewhat less confident when facing the other party. A body-tempering disciple. Your swordsmanship is barely passable. And that man over to us and you can get lost. The man said again. Also I said, take your sword away from my brother. With a loud bang, the man suddenly attacked, throwing a punch straight at Q Yiren's chest. Although the speed of his punch was not as fast as King Feng Guan's movement technique, it was not much different. On the other side, the other two also stared at Lin Huey, their eyes fixed on him, ready to strike at any moment.